Hello there, and welcome on into the PlayStation Fortnite Zero Build Cup Finals here for the EU region. My name is Miniman, delighted to be your host for the evening. And of course, joined alongside my very good friend, Levin2K, who's going to be breaking down all the action alongside me. Levin, very good welcome to you, and welcome to the show. Hope you're excited today, because I certainly am. It's going to be great. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, man. Last time we were here for one of these, it, did not disappoint. We had a lot of fun, and so I'm hoping the players can put on a good show for us again today. Yeah, we got some zero build action. We've got solos action, of course, as well here on the European region. Let's take a little look at how the format's going to be breaking down. How do we get here today? And of course, what is today going to look like? Because we've had 2 qualifiers leading up to the finals today. And as I mentioned, it's the zero build format today. So we've got 100 players playing across 6 games in a single lobby format. Levin, we're not really used to single lobby formats here, especially in solos.
Yeah, I feel like, if it's not FNCS, we almost never have these sort of set lobbies, especially for solos, right? And the zero build on top of that. The players will be well prepared in terms of they've qualified to make it here, Mini, but a lobby like this will be a new adventure for them every single game.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen with zero builds, so much excitement every single game. And of course, what brings that excitement is, of course, the scoring system, the point system that the players will be going by today. 30 points for the victory royale, alongside that top 75 getting yourself into the placement points. Each elimination being worth 2 points as well for each of our players today. Pretty standard stuff here, Levin. Nothing too untoward here.
Yeah, it should be all right. Most players will have a good grasp of what it is they need to get done here. And of course, yeah, you just want to be staying alive as long as possible, and then surely eliminations will come to you.
Yeah, the consistency is going to be absolutely key for our players today, as we always mention. But, getting some eliminations here and there is going to be absolutely vital in making sure you can make your way to the top of the leaderboard. And, of course, getting to the top of the leaderboard is going to be very fruitful, especially for our player in first place, walking home with $3,000 for that player right there. But what I like about this, Levin, is every single player competing today will actually walk home with some cash. 100th gets $100.
Yeah, some guaranteed dosh, not too shabby, right? And, of course, it sort of makes up for it. I think right now a couple of the players would have been looking at that solo cash cup taking place, and they thinking, oh man, maybe I would be playing in that. But look, you're guaranteed at least 1 win in the cash cup just from coming 76 to 100th, and so a lot of these players will be more than happy with what they walk away with today.
Yeah, the potential for earnings here is greater than that of the solo victory cup, so why not give this one a go? And we can see all of our players that are going to be competing today. I'm excited to see how it goes, though, because what I love about these PlayStation Cups and console events in general is we get to see a lot of new names, a lot of new faces that maybe we haven't seen too much from before. But of course, we get to see them in the same lobby as some of our more experienced players that we have on the screen right now, Levin. Is there anyone that sort of sticks out to you? Anyone that you know on this current list of players on our first page here?
Yeah, I think the first name that I recognize who would be KhazixMayJump. That name sticks out to me as a player who I've seen again competing, hustling, grinding. So going to be interested to see sort of what they do. Of course, the beauty of it is there'll be a lot of names, Mini, today who maybe we aren't as familiar with, but they make us familiar through consistent dominance in these games.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I've seen Keon there as well. That's someone that I have actually played with in the past. I've actually played a console tournament with him in the past. And as you can see, there's a certain difference in the ways that our careers have gone. He's the one still competing at this level, and I'm the one watching. Now, we see a next page of the players here as well. We get to see some more names. Teeny there, I'm sure, who's someone that we know, of course, from the PC side of things. And that's always interesting to me. We get to see some players that are used to the PC side of things and competing at that high level on PC. Now moving over to console kind of throws a bit of a spanner in the works, a little bit of a difference for some of our players that are used to that.
Absolutely, but a lot of them, consistently play these PlayStation events, right? So again, they will be familiar. It's not new territory for them by any means. The likes of Gabex, for example, another player who would be in a similar ilk to that. I know we were talking about some of the names earlier. You mentioned Zero Build Demon FN as somebody who very clearly is confident in their ability. You don't call yourself a Zero Build Demon if you ain't going to be performing. So I'm expecting them very high up in the leaderboards.
Well, they actually ended up winning the first open qualifier for this, so it seems like they're playing very, very well right now. They actually called themselves Malibuca before, and I got confused. I was like, is this Malibuca? Because it might well be, but it isn't, as I found out earlier on. So we got Tarps on the screen as well. Sined, another player that is very, very sort of well practiced in this scene. And of course, Pixovsky as well, one of those players that we were talking about earlier that kind of fall under the category of being a console prominent player.
100%, yeah. Player that most people are familiar with when it comes to a console scene. I think the name that is the biggest one here that everyone will be looking at, Malabuka. What can Malabuka? Malabuka plays every event. Malabuka don't care what the event is. Malabuka just wants to show up and win. And so I'm expecting big things from Malabuka today.
I mean, Malabuka's just come off an EU FNCS Grand Finals win there in Major number 1 and is still performing to the top of his game in Major 2. It seems like there's not going to be a fall off here for Malabuka. There's not going to be a sort of lack of talent anywhere here. He's definitely kept up the grind. He's definitely keeping on going. And that's what we like to see. I think sometimes we see some players have such a good season and then maybe just fall out of it a little bit potentially in the next season. We're not seeing that from Malabuka, and it's not something we'd expect either, Lemon, is it?
Yeah, I think that happens all the time when people are complacent, right? Whereas I don't expect that to be an issue. It almost feels like he probably doesn't even care. He's won FNCS. It's almost just like, okay, I've gotten out of the way now. Now let's just continue. It's all about the dollar, all about, you know, making as much as he possibly can. And today's a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, of course, now it's a little bit different, though. It's a little bit of a different landscape for him. We've got zero build action, and that definitely makes things different for a lot of our players. What would you say is the main differences between zero build and build when it comes to actually competing at this level? Is it a lot more sort of RNG involved, or is it sort of very similar in certain ways?
Can I say like the really cringe obvious one?
Go on, then. You can't build?
You can't build, mate. You can't build.
Can you not? I didn't know.
No. I think one of the big things is obviously, yeah, like you're sort of punished a lot more for incorrect decision making earlier on in your game, right? In terms of just, you know, where you actually position yourself and then the way you move around, right? You can very easily go from looking like you're in an amazing situation that could lead you to win the game, right? Your loot could be phenomenal, but it doesn't materialize, right? Because maybe you don't get the right zones, you don't put yourself in the right spot. So that is certainly one of the biggest differences. You almost feel you get punished a bit more in zero builds than you do in builds.
Yeah, and of course we have a brand new season here as well, Chapter 5, Season 2. How are you finding it so far in general, when you've played it, when you've hopped on, when you've watched other people play it? What are your thoughts so far? It's a very different season to what we saw last season, which is good in some ways and not so good in other ways for different reasons. Yeah,
I think the lack of mobility has definitely meant, you know, it's felt like a very different season. You know, obviously, of course, the new sort of POIs and the new bosses and what they offer with the coins that they drop, right, has definitely added a new flavor. I've enjoyed it so far playing. I was struggling with the Zeus a bit, I'll be honest with you, brother. That Zeus, the lightning bolts, man, I'm you know, I ain't the best. I think we've established that by now. So it's been harder for me playing, but watching has been a great time for sure.
Yeah, it has been a good time. I've really enjoyed it as well, and I definitely agree with you. That Zeus, for what reason is he the most difficult one to take out? Because he drops a DMR, and I don't think that DMR is going to be the most popular one. You mentioned there the new coins, the new medallions that have been released. Kind of a different way that they operate now, compared to last season. Compared to last season, we had all of them basically doing the exact same thing, and of course they healed you more depending on how many you had. What is your go-to at the moment? What do you think is going to be the best one that these players are going to have to go to when it comes to the zero build competition?
Well, I think it's clear, right? Gate is just like, you know, we talk about no movement metas, and then you have a coin that allows you to have movement. That is definitely very useful. And then paired with what you get from the underworld, right, where you get the siphon medallion, that also, again, it's just huge, right? I think we see in a lot of like the sort of open rounds or solo competitions, players who combine the two of them, it's a guaranteed win almost, and in most cases, right? But in a set lobby like this, I doubt we're going to see people sort of chain them together. So I think looking at the player landing at Grimgate will definitely be useful. Mount Olympus as well, that medallion is interesting, right? Because obviously the extra speed you get does help in terms of like movement in these sorts of games and being able to dart around a bit quicker. So we'll see how it sort of goes, but I definitely expect the players with medallions to have a bit of an edge.
And even Mount Olympus is such a big POI, it's such a tall POI. We often see so much high ground being asserted early on in zero build, making sure you can sort of make yourself known in that position and make that position yours. That could be a great position to have, even if it's not necessarily the best drop spot in terms of the medallion. That whole high ground area could become very, very vital for our players. I'm kind of casting our mind back because we did actually do the last PlayStation EU Zero Build Cup as well. We had a lot of Riot Shield action. Look, and the Riot Shields aren't in anymore. What's going to happen now?
Am I allowed to take?
You're allowed to say.
Am I allowed to take? I miss the Riot Shields. I wish we had the Riot Shields. Unpopular, I know it's unpopular, but I wish we had the Riot Shields because I ain't never seen nothing like that in Fortnite, and it was kind of like ridiculous, but also really fun. So you know, it was weird. Yeah, riot shields, the lack of riot shields, I think will help a lot of the competitions today, and you definitely won't be, when we did it last time, if you didn't have a riot shield, it was like, why even bother playing almost, right? With the amount that people had. So I think that will definitely change things today. But I miss the riot shields, man. I'll be honest.
You miss them? Really?
Yeah,
okay.
No,
I'm not sure if I'm with you on that. I think I'm excited to see how the dynamic changed without the riot shields, because it was almost just a standoff in the end game. Everyone's just waiting for each other. Right, who's going to shoot first? Are you going to shoot first, or is it going to be me? I don't even know. We do have the new shield bubbles as well. I don't know if you've had a little go with those yourself. They're kind of the shield bubble junior, a little bit smaller version of the massive shield bubbles that we used to have. Very nice item. Gives another option for players to have a little bit of cover, which is very difficult to come by when it comes to zero build. You kind of used to just have the bunkers and that was about it. So do you think that's going to change the dynamic at all, or is it just going to be a lot more bunker play as per usual?
No, I think they'll definitely help, man. I think they'll definitely help. We'll see them involved, just because, again, like just the ability to give yourself cover in this type of mode is, it comes so rarely. So it'll be interesting to see. I think one of the key differences, obviously, when you compare them to like the bigger shield bubbles, is obviously there's less space to work around. And we always see the people do the little dance in between, in and out of the shield bubbles. With a smaller one, less of that to be had. Of course, though, into this first game now, game 1 of 6. And we're here watching Lavish Lair. What do you make of Lavish? I know you were a big fan of it last season. What do you make of it now this season without the medallion here?
I like it still, I do like it still. I think a lot of people are not as big of a fan of it because it hasn't got the medallion there. It hasn't got that mythic shotgun anymore. But I think it's almost better now because less people go there. I'm not typically one to fare too well when there's like 18 people going to my drop spot. I don't think many people are. So for me now, I think it's almost buffed it because it means that I'm less likely to go down a spawn, which is just all the better for me.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how it plays out for our Lavish Lair players here today. I think one thing that is very typical of Lavish Lair, medallion or no medallion, is fights like these where both players land in that main building and it's just a chase, a ring around the roses of who can find who. Only a shotgun in hand here for New T, so now the AR will definitely allow him to add a bit of extra counter pressure when needed.
That Warforged AR as well, the new one in the game this season. Very popular, I think, amongst a lot of the players. Very good in general. And of course, here we get to see the first instance of one of these boss battles. Scary, deciding to go straight up and try and take on the boss here. Of course, the Underworld's going to be a very, very nice siphon medallion for him if he can get this done and dusted. Seems like there's not too many players in the area, which is quite surprising to me. So there aren't too many players nearby. But all it takes is people to rotate in, I guess.
I think we find that a lot in solos, where everyone just expects these POIs to be super con, so they don't go. So it's like, it means that the POIs aren't as con as you'd expect them to be. And then what ends up happening is you get like a bunch of like really random like scrap loot drops that are like triple conned. And you as a player gliding in are probably like, why is anyone here? That's because everyone's been thinking like you, my friend. So we'll see whether that changes across these games, right? Where people start to think, okay, actually, maybe we can go to these POIs. Especially because a lot of them you can split pretty reasonably, right? If you claim a couple buildings, they claim a couple buildings, we all walk away with some good loot.
Well, it's interesting those boss fights as well, because so many people can hear that they're going on. It's almost more about timing than it is about actually getting the boss versus not, because sometimes I've seen players that are actually going for those boss battles, taking it out, and then actually ending up just getting third-partied by another player, because it's very difficult to hear those footsteps when you're actually fighting that boss. There's almost no audio.
Yeah, almost impossible at times. I think the best players I've seen have setups, right? So they'll create bases, so that at least if you are going to come in and try and third-party them, you're going to be walking through a lot of their edits. And so a more cautious player is going to start to break them, then you're going to hear that, right? Then you can play a bit more on the defensive. But yeah, no, definitely risky when you are playing for those. Let's see how this fight manifests. Hyrax was looking to maybe engage onto Teeny, but Teeny dipping out.
So difficult to fight in these areas, particularly with this, it's called River Styx, this green river. And it gives you those skulls, of course. It gives you those dashes that you can use. And it just means that people just keep running and running and running and running. So it's almost not worth it. And you can see that from Hyrax right there. I just thought, yeah, Teeny's just going to keep running and running. So no point in me to actually, or for me to actually chase that down. Now, actually, I'm just going to sit, wait above these slap barrels, and maybe bait a player to come on in here.
It's funny, is because Hyrax is playing like Teeny.
Yeah.
You know, sat here on the barrels waiting for some unsuspecting player to walk in and really rock their world, to be honest, because I'd be quite scared. Not many people are going to walk in here to use the barrels and look directly up, right? It's
True.
yeah, we'll see how that works out. Benson Fields, another one of those POIs that you could, you know, quote unquote, was nerfed by removing a medallion, but some would argue is stronger now this season, Mini.
I don't mind it. Yeah, I think it's again, it's one of those situations where it was, you know, the best POI last season, and I think it generated the most FNCS wins across all the different regions in grand finals. So, you know, what we're going to see now is we're going to see some players that maybe aren't as experienced landing at this drop spot because it hasn't quite, you know, it hasn't got that firepower, if you like, that some of the bigger name players that will want to look for. So. Can be split again, though, of course. This is one of those POIs that is quite large. It still has the underground areas as well. The vault's still there as well, but it hasn't really got that much loot, so not necessarily as much worth it. But you can see this from Nafri right here. Still coming out with some very decent loot. Got that Gatekeeper's shotgun, which seems to be the shotgun of choice at the moment amongst all of our players, which I certainly agree with. Very, very good shotgun. Yeah. And nice addition to the game.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely has to be the go-to shotgun. Okay, we got a bit of a fight here over at Restore the Reels. It's interesting, right? Because, you know, when we talk about POIs, obviously you got the POIs which are sort of more on the outskirts, the ones that are more mid-map, and POIs like Restore the Reels and like Fencing Fields are more sort of towards the mid-map areas. Sort of lend yourself to fights like these. And I feel like when you are in fights like these, you almost got to be more careful because you're worried about players coming from every which way to third party.
Especially in zero build as well. You just don't want to be out in the open. You can see him going from all the way on top of that building right there, just to down below with a little bit more cover. He just doesn't want to be exposed to other third parties that could be coming in. Of course, there is still snipers in the game as well, although their drop rate has been nerfed in the sense that you can only get the purple and gold versions now. They have actually been buffed in their effectiveness from sort of mid-range, so it's they become even more dangerous for those that have it in their inventory. That's the difficulty for a lot of these players that are fighting. Just sat here and restored reels, just kind of camping. We're going to see this a lot today. Just you know, a lot of players just sat there and not really doing too much. It's just waiting for their moment to pounce.
Franklin Saint FN. I thought this was one of my IRL mates at first because I got an IRL mate who's just like obsessed with Franklin Saint. So you know, I thought this was him, but it's not him. But again, they're just another person obsessed with Franklin Saint. We'll see. Are they able to do? Oh, careful here, son.
Interesting. You can see him just not using any of that utility early on. Doesn't want to waste those bunkers. Only 2 of them. No shockwaves used there either. It's not worth wasting them. It's not worth using them this early. And again, this is just what we're going to see. We're going to see these kind of potential fights brewing, and then both players kind of agreeing, yeah, this is probably not the time or place to fight. Let's just disengage, get inside of a bush. That's exactly what Franklin's saying is doing right here. Pretty much the ideal loadout, I'd say, for zero builds. You know, maybe a nicer AR would be quite good, but it seems like that's going to be the ideal loadout here with shockwaves being in. They're going to be so useful in endgame, and making those rotations is going to be so key.
Yeah, I'd agree. You want to be able to have some sort of movement and then the cover as well. A good balance of that, but also a good balance of shields. Oh, finally we get to see some action here. Khan putting on a show for us, and that's interesting, right? He has a sort of a base there filled with extra shields, and that's what I was sort of alluding to, right? Because in this mode, you get punished so much, you know, in terms of positioning, that you need a bit more extra shields than you probably would carry maybe if you were playing solos in a build mode. There's a lot more potential for you to get caught out, so having sort of some extra shields is going to be very useful. Of course, now sound cues telling him that Nafri's nearby. It won't turn into a full-fledged fight.
I mean, that's a difficulty in zero build. It's a difficulty that I find personally as well when playing in the victory cups and stuff. is you have an assault rifle or SMG, you have a shotgun, you have bunkers, shockwaves, and then maybe a heal or maybe a sniper, maybe some EMPs. There's just simply not enough infantry slots to be able to carry a bunch of heals. So I think that's definitely going to be the strategy that we're going to see right here. Zig here just describing that loadout that I was just mentioning. You just don't have, he hasn't got any whites, like he hasn't got any EMPs if he does want to play that way. It's very difficult, and that adds a whole new layer to how Zero Build is played, almost setting up strategies like getting a nice bunch of heals, or even just choosing the loadout that you think is going to work out best. It's not easy.
Yeah, I think you can probably get away maybe with not carrying like whites per se. But again, it's just like the extra shield. Like you really do want to have that, right? In these types of games. A lot of the time, I guess it would be dependent on sort of your play style. You almost have to be conscious of your play style. If your positioning and your rotations aren't your biggest strength, then maybe you sacrifice something for the extra heal. But then again, what are you sacrificing? Like, everything else in your inventory is so vital. So tough decisions to be made. Alba here rocking the new bananas we've seen recently added. You a fan of these bananas?
I like them. I think they're good. They're banana of the gods, as they're named. Quite a humble name, of course.
Of course, very humble.
Very humble. Just naming themselves the gods. They're just trying to get a one-up on the regular bananas that only heal you for 5. So I respect that. They are good though. They give you that Zeus medallion-esque mobility increase, the higher jump, and they also just heal you up all the way up to 100 white HP like the old slurp juices, but without the shield. So it kind of gives a similar effect, just like a healing over time. So nice item, but for Alba just getting beamed a little bit there, not going to have the shield to regenerate that HP, and Hedra is just not able to connect with any shots.
Yeah, the SMG not doing him good there. Even though it is that popular burst that everyone seems to love.
It's nice to see the burst SMG getting a bit of love after so many years of it kind of being out of favor for a lot of players, and even out of the game. I don't think it's been in too much, but I remember the old burst SMG. It was I think I'd rather a rusty can than that in my inventory. So this one is certainly a lot more popular.
The attachments help, right? Being able to add those sort of attachments like the laser and whatnot have really helped it. And it is just quite strong in general. I'm sure we'll see a lot of players carrying it. Some DMR action as well, right? Obviously the DMR's recently got a bit of a buff. And so players favoring them a lot more. I didn't think we were going to see much of them in this, and I don't think we will in solos in general. I don't think it's worth carrying the DMR. But situationally, sure.
I mean, DMRs, they're pointless in a sniper meta, I think. If you have sniper in the game mode, DMRs are never going to get their love. Unless they make them way too powerful, like the old scoped
infantry rifles.
Remember that infantry rifle, something like that. If it is hit scan, etc., it might get used, but it's just, with how good the snipers are nowadays, it's just never going to get any love. So
I think we'll still see. I think we'll see them this season. I think they decrease sniper rates, right? Like there's less snipers now, I think, in the game. So I think we'll see some people pick them up where they can't get snipers anymore in some of the earlier zones for Surge and whatnot. But yeah, nah, you're right.
Choice.
Yeah, for sure. You'd prefer a sniper in most cases.
I like the inventive username here. Just sort of a hit your hand on the keyboard and see what comes out type of vibe.
I think he's just trying to remind himself of some of his vowels,
Easy forgot, to be fair, so, nice to have a little reminder every once in a while.
Some island action, though, here.
I mean, how valuable is the island?
So I was literally going to ask you. I'm so glad you said that, because my next question was, like, is Island worth it in this? You're not coming up here for mats. you're not getting island points, you know. It's like how, I guess maybe if you need a little, but I feel like everyone at this stage in the game has like some sort of a loadout. Like, what's the?
I mean,
the
I honestly think it's just mobility. The position and the mobility. You're guaranteed to be able to get into the next zone with the pads or the rifts. I suppose the loot, you know, it's going to be gold. It's going to give you some splashes more often than not. You know, is it worth fighting over though? I don't think it is, and I think Hyrax is just proving that. He's just trying to stay up here. He doesn't really care about the loot that's actually going to be yielded from the capture. He just cares about actually just this position and this ability to look at everyone else. And I think I don't know if he has the medallion, so he just used those two. I think he just wasted them. So.
Oh no!
In a certainly not ideal situation, because it's something that I think we'll see a lot of is players trying to save those dashes if they don't have the medallion to the end game.
For sure.
For as long as possible, and we just we saw them being completely wasted right there.
You don't want to use your dashes unless you have to. That's a bit unfortunate there for Hyrax. We'll see if that comes back to bite him down the line. But yeah, no, you're right. Just the position, I think, is the big thing here. And then, again, potential weapon upgrades if you really need it.
You know what I don't see people doing enough, and I think could be a good strategy, is not actually claiming the island fully and waiting until it gets like right in the end. And then if someone decides to contest you, just literally claim it straight away, and then you get to have them marked for the entire fight. I don't think I barely ever see anyone do that, and maybe I'm just coming up with new strats here and I shouldn't be leaking. I don't know why nobody does that.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I ain't seen people do that.
Leftover prize on top of this hill. This is a nice position to be in as well, just looking down all those players that are rotating in. There's a pad there as well, so easy rotation. Gonna get some tags out of the air, gets a couple. Which is going to be decent, but of course that overshield's going to regenerate. No, that's an 84 damage right there out of the air with that burst SMG. Just shows how good it is from range.
It's like, you'd rather use a burst SMG than a DMR there. It just tells you everything you need to know, really. It's like, you know.
Yeah. That's the example that we were looking for about the DMR.
I actually think this burst SMG's worst use case is where you typically want an SMG. I actually don't think this burst SMG is good in box. Or like no, that good in box. At least I think the regular SMG is just better in box than this one.
And they are.
Yeah.
Just that spray factor of it. Yeah, 100%. Kira in the game as well. I don't think we really mentioned too much Kira. We saw SkyJump earlier on, so console lads. Not in the same team at the moment, though, of course. We're in solos. So, just hiding behind the tree. I'm not sure if Khan actually knows he's behind the tree.
He's pretty suspicious, but yeah, I don't think he knows. Snooty snaps on his Hyrax with a ambitious rotation there. You're almost always scared to get shot out of the sky in these types of situations, but does well to go untouched. Now it's just a hiding game. Staying in this building, sort of claiming it without letting people know you're claiming it because you're hiding, right? You hope nobody comes here, but you're also ready if anyone does. This is a very interesting situation for Khan, of course. Loadout is just looking very dire, and doesn't look like he's going to stay alive in this game for much longer, really. Shots coming through from players behind him in the zone. Is able to make it into the safe zone, but not for long. Akira there to take him out, and looking for even more.
Wow.
The double for Akira.
Double elimination. That's that mythic Warforged assault rifle, one of my personal favorites this season. It's so good from that mid to close range, particularly the fire rate of it, the amount of ammo that's in it, and Akira just showing exactly why it's such a good weapon this season. And it's not necessarily at the best POI at that Brawler's Battleground. The medallion isn't necessarily the best either. It only just increases damage a little bit, but that mythic assault rifle is such a good item. You can see Akira's still on the hunt, still wants to try and find a couple more eliminations to add to his 3, and he seems to be just using the trees as cover more often than not. Nobody ever thinks to look behind him, and of course Max does have that sniper or some sort of weapon with the scope, so he's got to be very careful here, and I think he is just going to disengage. Yeah,
back off. Start thinking about how you get into that next zone. Of course, I don't think it'll be too tough of a rotation for Akira to make, but does still need to be a bit wary. Don't want to get held in this type of situation, especially when you're rotating into players up on those cliffs. Getting held would be worst case scenario. Surprised he's not just swam around. Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like maybe he will go now, but I would have thought he would just swim around there, maybe getting some extra ammo. Looks like it'll be a white line probably. Yeah, just popping that marker down. A banana will give him some extra speed. Max now waiting for Akira to show up, but I don't think he'll see him anytime soon. Just has to focus on his own rotation. Oh, nice damage. Very nice damage.
Beautiful shots there from Max. That's that mythic DMR that he's got from the Zeus NPC, of course. And not usually the most favorite item, but when it is in that mythic rarity, it can do some decent damage. We've seen Max dominating in these sort of events in the past and performing very well. Look at that with the EMPs as well, giving him the green light to go on through and try and get close up here. But of course, he hasn't got that spray weapon here. He needs to try and find a little bit of a shot, a little bit of an angle onto the player down below. Because of that, he's not getting too aggressive. He hasn't got the heals either. He doesn't want to get himself too exposed here and looked at by the entire lobby. That's why he's not making a play yet.
Some great movement from Max, though, in this bunker. Just a sort of sidestep and jump up to get out of the way of LV Mister. But the problem again now at this stage in the game is inventory is depleted. It's like not much to work with. So all these EMPs that come in just do more and more damage, and at a certain point you just think, you know, what am I going to do about this guy? Like, he's going to keep causing me issues when I want to rotate. What does Max do here?
I mean, the trouble for him is Mr. doesn't have any heals either, so even if he does take out Mr., he's not going to be in too much of a better spot. He's almost going to be in a worse spot because so many people are going to be looking. You can see Akira just looking back at that very fight right there. He has got the positional advantage because they have to go first. Max then finally decides to go on through, does take him out. But of course, Akira's looking in that direction. And all the players that are inside of the zone, they're going to be able to look back. Tarps is going to be one of them, just going to be able to try and find a nice angle to look out and find a position to maybe take some shots. There it is, onto Rush. It's a couple of nice damage tags right there. He might want to actually just make a little rotation in himself with this banana. Chases him a little bit, but just make sure that he gets himself in first, and you can see that going quite well so far. He makes his way into the zone. Nicely done there from Tarps.
Yeah, and look, if Tarps had been playing in a build mode, I would have said, oh, he's set up well for heal off, but unfortunately these games don't typically go to those heal offs, so the medkits may be redundant. He needs to win the fights, but he won't. Rush PSU waltzes into the building and waltzes his way into some free loot now as well. Tarps caught a bit off guard there, it felt like.
Yeah, he just whiffed the shot. He just whiffed the shot. I think he knew it was coming. He kind of exposed himself a little bit too early. The player decided to rush on through, funny enough, and just he just missed the shot. He tried to snatch at it. And if he'd just been a little bit more patient there, allowed him to run in and then pounced on him down below, he would have found that elimination, I have no doubt. But of course, now he's going to go back to the drawing board and not even inside that top 30. It's not the best start for him at all.
Silks.
Wow.
Tearing through the opposition. Another player right behind him didn't scout it properly when he left the building. And so now will be punished. Leighton, bit cheeky there going for that loot. But he doesn't care, it's gonna cost him now. Everybody getting cheeky for loot. Nobody with any ounce of patience. Everyone's too greedy, and Fox J comes out on top.
And again, looking for even more. He's not done, he's not finished. There's so many shield bubbles to try and force your way through, and Fox J decides, right, okay, this is the time to breathe, the time to chill. There is a big pot there as well. He kind of does need it, but what's he going to do? He's actually going to heal off into the storm, and another player goes straight on through into the storm, takes him out, and that's Salto that has just come through and take him out. There's Samux. He's also trying to look for some limbs, gets Lind on the way in as well. Still 12 players left as well. Salto goes down there as well, and now it's 10 players left. Isan all the way up on top, looking in a good position.
And Isan, a player who plenty of experience, doing very well. in these types of events. The last time we watched one of these, Isun was consistently hiding in these end games, and so again, classic, typical Isun play, and it's paying off. One elimination here, a shield bubble to get some extra protection, dancing in and out of it, times it well, and it's benefited for that, but will go down in 4th place. 3 players remaining.
Zig, Recon takes him out. 1v1 situation. It's Recon, and it's Recon that comes out on top in game number 1. That's his 6th elimination of the game. And what a dream start for Recon, who still had 3 shockwaves in his inventory, Levin. He was still looking very good, but I was looking at the inventory right there. It's that mythic Gatekeeper shotgun. That definitely would have had a part to play, and that's a win right there.
It always does, man. It always does. The Gatekeeper, of course, we talked about being the weapon of choice, right, in terms of shotguns. But then, of course, right, how stacked he was. Seemed to have more than everybody else, it felt like, in that end game. And that ultimately is the difference maker in those final moments.
Yeah, as we take a little look at some of our highlights across that entire game, so much action, some action that we didn't get to see on the stream as well. We got to see some fights that did go down, and there was a lot of this sort of mid-game, almost lack of fighting from what we saw, but there were some fights that were going on just to try and establish some dominance in the first game. Khan, of course, one of those players that was getting quite active, but unfortunately went down just at the early stages of the end game. And this elimination here, we saw this one on the stream. What an absolute beam that was. We were questioning Hyrax's decision to go up onto the island, and you can see that there's some players that do decide to make their way on up, and of course he was able to find some of those as well. And Akira, we have to give a shout out to him. What an absolutely incredible play from him in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, you know, did very well, even against the odds in some of those later zones where the zone pools just did not favor him at all. Max tried his best in this situation, but in the end, it's like you run out of gas, right? Eventually, when you're just chasing the game at that point. This was an interesting point in the game, right, where we're seeing a moving zone start and everyone's just fighting, right? Because it's like someone's just run past you. Of course, you're just going to take some shots, and ultimately it just causes mass havoc. It was cool to see Isun back in these end games. That is something that I think we can expect to see more of today. Isun definitely has shown that poise before. But yeah, when you're Recon and you got the, you got the coin, you got those dashes to use throughout the end game. You got the Gatekeeper mythic shotgun. It's just everything's a bit too perfect. Again, he just doesn't have to use as much as a lot of his opponents. And so, yeah, if we see, I think we'll see a trend of the person that wins out at Grimgate is going to continue to be a big threat in this lobby.
Yeah, I mean, it just has the perfect combination of everything you need. The shotgun, the medallion, it's all just going to work out in their favor, especially in zero build here. And I mean, Isun right there, something that I noticed, his first elimination was that elimination that we saw right there at the end. So it was one of those where there is some different game styles and game plans that we're seeing in place right here. Although we got to see a lot of the action, there are a lot of players that are being a little bit more chill as well and camping and playing a little bit less aggressive in these end games, which I think across 6 games could actually work out in their favor.
Yeah, if you can consistently do what Isun does there, it's why Isun was so high up in the leaderboards last time round we were hit, right? Because you get so many points for those placements, and so again, it's just worth your while. But it's hard to do, right? Staying consistent in solos in general is just quite hard to do. It's why when we look at some of the best solo performances ever, it's just people who were somewhat consistent, right? It's because it's so hard to do. But then doing it in zero build as well, even harder. So we'll see whether or not Isun can keep up this streak.
Yeah, lots of shield bubbles in use there as well. That was something else that I noticed. I was expecting it, but I was expecting more bunker action, I suppose. But it seems like if you can fight in and around 2 or 3 shield bubbles, and you have the strategies in your locker to be able to actually achieve success in those situations, you're almost guaranteed to find eliminations in this, because it seems like that's where all the big fights in those final moments are going to be happening. And it seems like those players that can find those eliminations are actually able to go on and have a good game. As we take a little look at the overall standings, of course, after we've seen our first game here, Recon with that game 1 victory royale, 6 eliminations there, 36 points overall, but there's still so much to play for.
Absolutely, still a lot more to be done. IMT Sting going in second, Ziggs in third. Of course, you saw Ziggs towards the end there. And again, the one problem that Isun might have, Isun in 5th place here, is that the lack of eliminations, right? Certain players are going to have sort of these pop-off games where they get more elims than you, and so that maybe starts to creep up and catch up on you. But again, I think consistency will rule over all across 6 games.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, particularly when the zone is that far south, it almost kind of begs the question of if it does not go there again, if it's a little bit more north, will we see some different names in amongst the mix in the end game, or do these players have what it takes to sort of overcome those more far zone poles? Because that was a very, very south pole all the way down there in Snooty Steps, and I think for players that are landing around there, that's probably a very nice start. But for those that aren't in that area, you always have to feel like, okay, well, that was just an unlucky zone for me, right? I'm going to get a little bit better RNG in the next few games.
Yeah, oh, you hope so. Yeah, you hope so. If the zones keep going down there, we're gonna start looking at you a bit funny, Mini Man, because yeah, you're calling it there. I do think that's a great point, right? Zone RNG is definitely gonna play a big factor in sort of just, you know, whether or not we have good games here. But again, it will just be those players who, regardless of the zones, are showing up, popping up. They're clearly the ones that have, you know, the better strats here, and so. Let's just get into the next game, really, and find out who that is.
I want to see it. I want to see the next game. I want to see what's going to be happening with that as all of our players are getting ready to rock and roll. We'll be heading onto that battle pass very, very shortly, I'm sure. I mean, we saw a very exciting end game there. A little bit of water action as well. Snooty Steps end game as well. I mean, you asked me about Lavish Lair. Snooty Steps, is that still your go-to at this point, Levin, or are we kind of moved away from that now?
No. I ain't.
No?
You won't catch me
like
at Snooty. So, nah. It's just I've not been there, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, no, I've not been there.
Wow, the betrayal.
Yeah, it's again, I don't think it's bad by any means. It's just it's not got that same, you know, shiny. It's I'm like the kid who just wants a shiny toy, you know. So I'm at the new spot now. You know, it's like Snooty. That's, you know, we're at Grim Gate now. That's where we're at.
Grim Gate,
yeah. That's where we're at now. But
so you're the kind of guy that always likes to land at the best POI that season. You want to have the best straight off the bat. Because it seems like that was the case last season.
Yeah, it's just the action, isn't it? It's the action. Don't ask me how landing at Grim Gate actually goes for me. That's a whole different conversation. That's where it's not the same at all. But that is where I want to be, and clearly, you know, it's working out for Recon. So you know, maybe it could work out for me. It's giving me hope.
Maybe. It might. Maybe, you know, maybe you're the same level of skill as Recon. I don't know. I doubt it, personally. I'll be honest.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, yeah. You just started landing here, you know. We'll give you a bit of slack here. But no, great first game from Recon right there. Do you think he can continue it? I mean, what's going to be the important thing that he has to keep in mind now going to the next couple of games or the next 5 games that he has? He's got the best drop spot. He's got the best the mythic and medallion, I'm sure, off spawn. How does he not let that get to his head and feel like he's already won it?
The only problem I guess we could see him face is just like, you know, positioning, or sorry, not positioning, being contested by somebody, right? And losing out on that. I think as long as you have that coin and you have, you know, that mythic shotgun, you're always going to be in a good position because, you know, there's more than enough loot at Grim Gate. So much loot there. So yeah, we'll see sort of, I'd be interested to see what happens at Grim Gate in this game. That would be very key to sort of how the rest of the game is written.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of given a little bit of an indicator to the rest of the lobby that actually this Grim Gate area is pretty good. You know, it's definitely worth landing at. So maybe some of our players will kind of divert their attention over to there and change their drop spot, because of course we see drop maps so often. I think a lot of people, even some casual Fortnite watchers maybe that aren't so aware of how the Fortnite competitive scene works, that's not set in stone. The players don't have to land where they are on the drop map. They can switch things up whenever they like. So for players that are not necessarily having the best start, we could see a little bit more action here later on. And here we go, a start for Malabuka at Grim Gate. This is what we wanted to see. Action off spawn and action we will get.
Wow. Commiserations. He's clearly trying to make the message clear. Do not come to Grim Gate or you will have problems.
Here we go though. Malabuka causing some problems. Now got some problems of his own to try and deal with. Has of course got the dashes from that, but no, tries to get through the window. He's going to get punished in the process. And it's Lan Garcia who ends up taking him out. So maybe we could be seeing Lan Garcia right there actually getting that very, very strong mythic and the very strong medallion.
That is tough. You see how it just completely costs him by trying to go in there and trying to get through that window. And that small little error means that Malabuka will be no more in this game. It's tough. Small little margins, Mini. Small little margins.
That's all it takes. I mean, no doubt that he would have done that in previous games, going through that window. It's probably a little bit of a shock for him. And if I was to be in his, well, I was going to say in his house, in his neighborhood at that point, I'm probably sure it wouldn't be a very quiet neighborhood after that happened to him. He's very much known for his loud reactions when it comes to things that don't go his way. Just go on Twitter for 5 seconds on his profile, you probably find a few. And certainly not going to go too well for him. But he's got the experience, right? You know, he's got the experience. It's only game 2. He would have had bad games in the past in these sort of events, so nothing that he can't overcome.
Back over to Mount Olympus, where Franklin Saint continues to loot up towards this west side. Franklin Saint did quite well in the first game, made it all the way into the top 10 in the standings after it, and so I'm sure we'll keep an eye to see just how good they can do out of this POI. Which you can see a couple players landing here, right? And this is what I was sort of talking about last game, where POI like this can be split up between a couple players claiming different sides of it, and you're all pretty much going to get the loot you really need, and then one of you obviously can play for that bot and get the mythic and the medallion that comes with it.
I mean, look at the loadout already. This is almost ideal for Franklin Saint at this start of the game, because you've got the solid assault rifle. If you've got the right attachments on that, that's, you know, definitely a contender for the better one of the two. And then you've got maximum bunkers, maximum shield bubbles, and maximum EMPs. We saw EMPs being used effectively. We saw Max using EMPs in that last end game. They do take up an inventory slot, of course. You have to try and manage that with in the likes of heals and stuff. So you can see Franklin Saint here doesn't have any heals, but they can prove so vital in getting into those fights and just initiating the fight in your favor. But you can almost get the heals from the refreshes anyway, as Harps decides to try and chase down this other player, get some tags on him. Not quite going to be enough to take him out, but he's got the health advantage by far. This is what I was talking about earlier. These sort of fights can just keep going on and on forever if the other player wants to. They actually go inside of the building to try and find a little bit of a respite. It's not going to happen, though, for him. The Sarps connects with his shots, and the other player is not able to get away, and he gets rewarded for that effort right there. A couple of bunkers and a shock as well. Really nice.
Yeah, good to make sure you got him before he could use the final one of those shockwaves he had available. Well, be careful, Tarps. Don't want to put yourself out in the open, and he's going to have to use that shockwave now just to get out of dodge, because, yeah, that player came waltzing through, but the chase is going to continue. I'm not sure if he's too aware. He needs to make sure he gets out of there quickly. Okay, yeah, that player stops following now.
A lot of players popping these bananas early as well, just to get that mobility, even if they don't need the white HP that they offer. So, nice little way to get around early on. Akira, again, opting to sit behind trees, waiting for Leox right there. Franklin Saint, one of the players that we just saw earlier on, also rotating out of that Mount Olympus POI. And Akira, we saw getting quite active in that early stage of the end game, but just couldn't quite make it in, had to get forced into quite a difficult rotation for him. And when the zone is in your favor like that, it's really not ideal at all. And Recon, this is the player that, of course, won the first game of the day. Really nice loadout so far. Has got a sniper as well. So the first time, really, we're getting to see proper sniper action from our leader right here.
Yeah, but I think Recon himself will know if he cannot get a hold of the mythic shotgun, as well as that medallion from Grimgate, it's not going to be the type of game that he had in game 1. He'll be aware of that, but he might be fine with that also. Right? He might be understanding of that. I don't want to force it. I don't want to go hunting after someone who's better equipped to fight than me. So I'll just play out this game best I can without it.
And that's the difficulty, is when your strategy doesn't quite go as you hoped. What are your contingency plans? What are your, or how is your ability to deal with those potential problems? As Recon now, I think he must have just rotated into Grimgate last game, managed to pick up that mythic. not quite finding the same success in this game, just sitting outside of the POI, maybe waiting for the player that does have it to come on out. Of course, actually, it hasn't even been claimed yet. I can see on the map right there. So nobody's actually wanting to go for it, even though everyone equally wants it. So it's a difficult position to find yourselves in. You can see all the players that are in the air. It's like bees around honey. Everyone wants it. Nobody knows when to go for it.
Surely it doesn't just go unclaimed all game, right? Somebody eventually just has to step in and say, hold on a minute.
Surely, yeah. Look at this, though. Recon finding his first of the game. Hitting a snipe and then benefiting from the pinch, if you like, from the other player on the other side of things. And that was unfortunate for the player that was caught in the middle of that. But Recon is not backing down after that first game victory royale.
Rightfully so. Gotta keep fighting in these games. Reek fighting against the zone now. The banana will come in handy. And then it's about trying to find some extra shields, maybe in Lavish here. A lot of it has been looted, but maybe there's something lying around because he definitely needs it.
100%. Getting that loot off spawn is so vital. I mean, you can try and hide your way to success later on down the line. It's just very unlikely to actually go your way. And even trying to loot old buildings and stuff, it's very, very unlikely that they're going to have bunkers or shockwaves, etc. in them. So just getting that off spawn is going to be absolutely vital. And this is the difficulty actually with these dashes. You can't actually mantle that easily when you have them in your on your back like that. So you saw Tarps trying to do that. Didn't quite work out. Nuki, unfortunately, getting beamed down to a singular HP. I just don't think he's going to have the ability to clutch here, and I was right. Because there were so many players looking at him from different angles that there was only one way that was going.
Very unfortunate scenes there when everyone's just sort of preying on you from afar as well. It's just never-ending cycle. Interesting, we didn't see much bunker play in that first game. Maybe that'll change this time round. Seeing people sort of fighting around those.
Yeah. They're just sort of being used a lot earlier, it seems like, than what we may have seen in the past. People having to use bunkers, they don't have the mobility items like the grapple blades anymore to easily make their way around the map. I mean, if you decide to try and use wings, then you might as well just leave the lobby at that point. It's, you know, there's not a very easy way to make your way around the map in mid-game.
Oh no, I was talking about like the bunkers, like the ones like set around the map.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
no, we didn't really see much of them. Obviously, that's a decent maybe opportunity for players who maybe have a bit of a scuffed couple first zones to try and get back into the game.
True. They have so many of those legendary chests in there. You know, you're gonna get some sort of shockwaves, some sort of bunkers, the throwable ones, some sort of even shield bubbles or something, splashes, just to give your game a chance.
Yeah, it'll be
definitely worth it.
There'll be something spare in there.
Even just the attachments, I like how you have to fight for the attachments nowadays. You know, it is something that you can't just get as easily. You know, there are they appear later on in the game, and it's nice. Oh, Leox using shockwaves this early on to get away from Akira, I think, but I don't even know what the danger was there.
Boss or what?
Yeah. Just anything that it takes to get away from Akira. Even using all the mobility. Leox now just left with one shield bubble, 37 white HP and 100 shield. this would be the perfect time to try and find one of those old bunkers to get some extra loot, but it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I mean, there is one sort of south of Fenton that you can maybe check on. I don't know if it'll be. I don't know if the one in near Olympus would be in zone. There's also the one just here we can see, you know, sort of south of Piazza.
And here's the island. Peering. A little bit more action here at this game. 3 players up there. Recon being one of them. And we'll see how this one goes down. A lot of players, yeah, do opt to go underneath here. Just to try and claim it. A little bit less out in the open. And if he can claim this, that could be really nice for him. Just to get to know where the players are around him. Just get that marker on him. He's already got 2 eliminations as well in this game. So looking really strong. Looking to continue that success, and he's doing so very well so far. But no, as I say that, look at that. Another player comes on up. Recon has to shockwave out, and it's not going to end well for him as Recon, our game #1 winner and leader overall, is down and out.
It's just the ultimate awareness check. And you see he did everything last resort to try and stay in the game, but it just wasn't going to happen from there. Super unfortunate for Recon.
Oh, okay.
I was like, hold on a minute.
Did you also get scared a little bit there, or was that just me?
I was like,
Good.
Are we seeing the fumble of death right now? Like, what is happening?
I didn't see his dashes. I didn't see him. My heart sank for a moment, but luckily he's alright. The claim comes through, leftover prize is on top. Doesn't actually claim it. So the player down below claims it, just trying to make sure that nobody's able to get a nice angle on him here. So sitting right above here on top. Just waiting. Really nice loadout here as well. Maybe could do with a little bit more utility, more bunkers, more shops, but certainly better than what some people have at this stage of the game. We get to see some players rifting as well. A lot of players will do that, sort of chilling around the Rift Island to know that there's a guarantee of some rifts going to be spawning. A nice easy rotation. You can see that nobody really wants to go for the loot because everyone's going to be looking at them. I wonder if Leftover Prize has that shotgun with the increased mag as well, surely, right? The 5 shots.
Yeah, probably.
So there was a debate I saw on Twitter earlier this week about which would you prefer, the mythic gatekeeper shotgun with only 3 shots or the gold one with 5? Which one would you be on?
5 shots. Need the extra shots.
100%. I would agree. Let us know in the chat. What would you choose? Higher damage, less shots, or more shots with slightly lower damage? And you can, of course, customize it in your own way. Kive, though, look at this. This is really not looking good. 4 HP, no heals. Only got the overshield to try and stay alive. Can he create the clutch for a sentry right here? Playing in and around this shield bubble, evading. Altsu actually doing some damage as well. And if only Altsu knew how weak Ghost Kive here was, that could have ended up very, very differently. But a great job here from Kive just to actually just turn that fight on its head and get away scot-free somehow.
Almost making yourself look stronger than you are, right? In a very potential fleeting situation. Really nice to stay alive.
This is the main problem with Zero Build, I find, is that it's very difficult now for Kive to actually recover his game with an elimination. It's almost impossible for him to find that. You know, in builds you can kind of go up to someone and W key them and try and build to fight them, but this is where Zero Build becomes that extra bit more challenging. You need the health advantage more often than not, or you have to get a little third party going on. It's just very, very difficult to find that refresh. If he does with the clutch of the sentry, I'm sure.
We have, yeah. These fights and the dashes sometimes just... It looks like a completely different game almost at times. It's just unreal. Oh my... Oh.
Hello. Len the man is the man. That was incredible. He just came right on in there.
Fair enough.
Absolutely no regard for the other player whatsoever. He's like, yep, this is me. I'm here. That was incredible.
It's like he spawned in the shield bubble. Did not see him coming at all, yeah.
Caught him off guard completely. Caught me off guard as well.
Just felt like some of the Crash Pad Junior players we saw last season. There's just someone just appears. Don't know where from, they just appear.
Where's John Cena, man?
Oh, where is John Cena? What a legend of the game.
You did miss it last time we did one of these. There's a player called John Cena. He was our fan favorite King as well. Coming out with a nice elimination right there. Onto Nika Pro. But yeah, he was a top tier talent last time. Maybe it is someone in this lobby, but they just changed their name. I'm not sure, but certainly hope that we can find another John Cena today. That's our goal, to try and find our next.
Who's the new John Cena?
I just think you'd be able to top it.
Nah, I don't think you can.
Can't.
I really don't think you can. Fortnite King picks up Len the man, who we obviously saw popping off earlier. 5 shockwaves was really nice to have as well at this stage in the game.
Really nicely done. You can see just using these shield bubbles to actually just protect that loot and then go and grab it. Using the heals, getting that Flowberry Fizz as well. Seems to be the heal of choice for a lot of players that don't have the mobility, or even if they do have the shockwaves, you can just extend the effectiveness of those shockwaves, which we might see right here if Luca combines one of these shocks with the Flowberry Fizz, which he does. Just allows him to go so much further than you would do normally. Of course, he's got these bunkers to throw down, trying to get as central as he can before he does. Waiting for the perfect moment. There it is. Makes himself a nice big bunker as well, which is always preferable. There's a player in the tree. It's Rush that is getting looked at by 2 different players. Samu's there as well. Rush decides to shock away just about on 1 HP. And it's Luca that's just playing spoiler to that fight for Samu, who does nearly find Rush, but unfortunately gets beamed to the process and is not going to be credited for that limb.
This is such a tough spot to be in, a near impossible situation to be in these types of games. You really just have to pray a lot of the times, and even that won't save him. Nice to force someone out their bunker and give yourself your own bunker. If you ain't got your own bunker, you just force someone out of theirs. That is the go-to strat.
Look at this. And a limb from Karama, but can't chill for a moment. And another elimination coming through for Ryzy. That's his second of the game. Another player decides to try and take his bunker, and now this is where things start to get crazy for Ryzy right here. They just don't have bunkers of their own. They're gonna have to try and infiltrate someone else's. Going underneath is always a good idea, but not if there's a player above. The player above does take out someone below, and there's just every single player, it seems like, is just looking in their direction, and it's just not looking good for him. Luca's still looking good, though. This is a really nice position to be in with these bunkers and shocks. So I'm expecting some big things here, even though the zone doesn't pull in their favor. Look at that Rush still alive as well on our screen right there. So he's just got a little get out of jail free card right there. Courtesy of Luca.
You really just have to, you know, you really have to hope that you can. Like, there's just no moment to breathe or to break.
Yeah.
Tough rotation, max distance.
Oh.
I mean, what can you do? You know, like really, what can you do there?
What can you do? It's just very, very difficult. If you don't have shocks, it's just very, very difficult. This is something that we might see more of as well today. Just a single weapon loadout for Zig using the frenzy auto. Got some nice heals there as well. Specky also getting his 4th elimination of the game, performing very well. Got some bunkers there as well, or a single bunker, I should say. So not a bad little loadout going into this endgame. 6 flashes as well, but he's got a little bit of a problem here because every single player in that skyscraper of a bunker combination is looking at him as he rotates on in, and that's his game over. T-Sting right here, that was a player that was inside of that top 3 after our first game. Still inside of this game as well. Low aim using the EMP to force new plays into a bit of a frenzy. Connects with some shots, he's got the health advantage, can go on through, but decides to shockwave away and live to tell the tale for now. That's just nice pressure from Low aim right there. He also knows that that bunker's now going to be his. He can actually go in there because it goes to the way the zone pulls. You can see this is why he's in that position. Luca's still alive. Still potential for him here with 14 players left.
Yeah, Luca gonna probably look to use this fizz to aid in his rotation, waiting for the players to walk out of that bunker there. It's 2 players we saw deep in last endgame. Luca can't focus on that too much though, just has to make use of this as best as he can, and really nice. We'll tank the storm a little bit just to get the better position, and I think that is the better play for him.
Holding on to that height, making sure that nobody can. But look at this, the player shockwaves up, combines it with the EMPs, takes all of Luca's shield out, and now he's down to 30 HP in a position of such power before, has now been relegated down to below his own bunker, fighting for his life.
I mean, that is so unfortunate for him. I mean, you like to think he made the right play, made the right decisions, and was still punished. Low aim, really doing well to get that limb, but will it be enough now to stay alive in this game? It doesn't really seem like it. Just a fizz and pray, as everyone seems to do, will lead to his demise. Luca now as well, trying to get in here, but there just isn't enough cover for him. Kurama probably going to face the same fate, just trying to cause some havoc before he goes down himself.
1v1. Kurama tries to use the shockwaves, his advantage. Shockwaves up in the air. Is he going to be able to find some success? It's Makes Lol who does come out on top and finds the final elimination right there, Levin. Every single player seemed like they had absolutely no HP going into that end game. And it's Makes, however you pronounce his name. He's done well, and he's managed to find the 2nd game victory royale.
I mean, that game, the final moments of that game were just typical zero build solo action. Everybody scuffed. Nobody looks like they're in a strong position to win the game. It's just who can take advantage of what is presented in front of them. And in that case, yeah, it was Max who was able to do that. I mean, really, really tough game.
Yeah, really tough game indeed. Recon we saw doing very well in that end game, as well as we get to see some highlights from that game. This play was one of my personal favorites. Len the man, showing why he is very much the man there. Popping straight into that shield bubble. And we saw just so many of these little fights that seem like one player didn't completely dominate, particularly when it came to endgame. The other player always had to scramble their way into some sort of a box, some sort of a bubble or something, just to try and get themselves alive, because it seemed like neither player came out completely on top, and it just forced them into a third-party situation, and also forced them to have next to no HP for that for the next fight. And we can see the final elimination coming through here. Meg's just doing a really nice job. Of course, had the health advantage, used the bunkers. That's his 5th elimination of that game, and that was, of course, the 5 elimination victory. We get to see the standings here from game 2 alone. So remember, this is not just, it's not the overall standings. This is just from game 2. We get to see how all those players managed to do. Kurama, of course, in 2nd place there as well. Some decent performances across the board. Yeah,
really decent performances, and a couple names who obviously have now been consistent over the past couple games will mean that they will be relatively high up on those overall standing, right? The likes of Ziggs, of course, T-Sting there. Eason was just outside the top 10, but still some decent placement points being gathered for that as well. And then some of the names here from 21st to 40th Mini, who again were players who probably just got caught out a bit, you know, things looked good, and then zone pulls one way, you're on the other side, you got a couple players in between you ain't really got enough to close the distance, and yeah, really sort of tough game. I mean, again, all of these games will be difficult, and so when we say tough game, it's like, oh, yeah, but all the games are tough living. But I mean, some of the zone pulls we saw there, it's like everybody was just being punished left, right, and center.
Yeah, it was really difficult. It was a more central zone as well, so there wasn't necessarily any players that had the absolute best position in the lobby. There was nobody that was completely dominating up on height. It was very much a sort of even playing field, and it almost came down to how much resources, how many utility items do you actually have. We saw the players that did have the most of those shockwaves, the most of those bunkers, that did end up coming out on top because nobody really wanted to try and fight for them. Everyone's just trying to get in their own bunker, their own sort of safe place, if you like. And maybe we'll see more of that. I mean, I didn't see a South Zone there, Levin, so maybe my curse is not actually true.
I mean, yeah.
It doesn't actually make any sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because we mentioned like safe space. I think what we saw there is that a lot of the players in this lobby is just going to violate that anyway. It's like you place on your bunker, you think you're good, but somebody just comes flying through. You place on your shield, but you think, okay, I'm protected in this small little circle. Somebody comes running in. So it's like, again, the resources are definitely the key. The people that have more of them are the ones that are more successful. But you can't ever be too safe. I think some players almost get a bit, they sort of let their guard down because they feel protected, but it's an illusion of protection. You're not really ever safe in these lobbies.
Well, we've had 2 games of incredible action so far. We still got 4 more coming your way after this short break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Gaming is defined by moments.
It is intense.
The joy of victory and the thrill of overcoming challenges. Welcome to our home of competitive gaming, where we can all experience exciting esports moments.
The final 1v1 of the game here.
And celebrate the pros and the rising stars.
I do want to see a female in the NCS.
Bringing you guides and deep dives.
Horizon can go up, but she can't go up fast.
And tournaments where the community competes.
Wait! Did he go?
Whether you're in a heated match,
Back, let's go.
or watching along at the edge of your seat.
A duo taking down a trio.
Let's create moments from the games you love.
Come take it.
Join us and subscribe to our channel to follow everything esports on PlayStation.
PlayStation. PlayStation.
Enlist in the galaxy's elite fighting force. Work together to protect your future. Join the Helldivers, the galaxy's last line of offense.
PlayStation.
Welcome back to the Fortnite PlayStation Cup Finals. It's game number 3 coming your way very, very shortly, and we've had 2 games of very exciting action so far, Levin. We've had a kind of a different 2 games so far. Game number 1 was slightly different to game number 2. How do you think game number 3 is going to fare? Do you think players are going to have to learn now based on what we've seen so far?
I think the consistent theme amongst the 2 games was that the ending was more chaotic than anything you ever really see, right? At least in most end games in Fortnite, there's a moment of pause, there's more, you can almost track it a bit easier. Here it's just chaos left, right, and center, and I think the rest of the games will very much be like that.
I certainly hope so. It's always great to watch those last few moments of chaos, right? You know, you don't ever know who's going to take it home. It brings that new flavor into Zero build, right? We haven't seen too much of that in the build side of things. It's always kind of, you know, whoever's on height, you kind of can almost tell who's going to win, but it's almost like, who's actually going to win this? We're going to find out. And I like what I'm seeing so far, personally. It's been exciting. We've got to see a little taste of what we get to see from FNCS, maybe, for Major 2. You know, maybe not so much because it's not build, but, you know, we get to see a little bit of a flavor as to what set lobbies is going to bring, what's going to be strong in terms of the POIs. And so far, Grimgate seems to be a very highly contested POI and one that is consistently battled for, if you like.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to change regardless of the region or the modes. It is just such a strong POI. I think many people would argue it's probably the strongest POI we've had since, you know, way back in Chapter 2, Season 4 with the Stark season, right? Like that was obviously notoriously a very strong POI, and I think Grimgate definitely falls into that category.
Well, we've got game number 3 right here, starting right now as Recon tries to get some shots onto Hero. This is an interesting contestation where there's just 2 players contesting over seemingly nothing at the north side of the map here. And this is what we talked about earlier, and you mentioned it, Levin, that sometimes the less sort of good areas are more contested than some of the better areas because nobody really wants to go there straight away.
Yeah, that north side near Rebels Roost is notoriously contested in solos, and I'm still trying to figure out why. Yeah, always a bunch going on there, fighting wise. Zigzag, who's been super consistent in these games, landing here at Grand Glacier once more, and you know, doing well out of this spot. Plenty of loot. Some chests here for him to pick up. Some decent floor loot spawns as well. So again, I feel like one of the keys to being successful in these games is just having good loot off spawn, you know, being able to have a decent loadout, one that you can go on for the rest of the game with early on is so crucial.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, your chance of getting good loot just keeps diminishing as the game goes on. If you can't get it early on, then it's going to be very, very difficult to get it at the later stage of the game. T-Sting right here, we saw a nice performance so far from... We've seen a nice performance from him so far. Second place overall in the standings, just looking right now. Zig, of course, our first place player on the standings overall with 58 points. So T-Sting our second. Recon, our third place player as well. So some consistent performances so far from these guys. And they're the sort of players that can find eliminations as well. I mean, Recon is currently boasting the highest average eliminations out of everyone in the lobby, with 6 in the first game and 2 in the second. Even though it was a 71st place in that second game, it was still a decent one to get a couple of points on the board and maintain that position in the top 3.
I mean, that's all that matters, right? If your worst games are going to leave you sort of down in the standings, then, you know, you hope your best games can push you in. I think the key difference, though, is that his success, a lot of that came from having that medallion, and it's not something he's playing for. So clearly in that first game, it was something he picked up through eliminating whoever had it. And so as long as that condition isn't there for him, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to hold on to these high points that he has and this high positioning that he has in the standings. We'll see, though. Of course, this was our winner here in Game 2.
Yeah, Max here with the hand cannon as well. I haven't seen anyone take the hand cannon yet. Have you given it a go in game at all? I mean, you just dropped it, so you can clearly see how much he likes that.
Yeah, I mean,
not my favorite.
Well, it's funny because you see, you know, he has a DMR instead, and that was the point I was gonna make. I feel like in any situation you'd want to use the hand cannon, a DMR is just better.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe like structure damage and like a box fight, but even then it's not like amazing. So it's like,
no.
Yeah, cool though that you can add the attachments.
It does slightly more damage. Yeah, you can add attachments on it. I think it does slightly more damage to the head. I think the headshot multiplier is slightly better. But even still, like, you might as well have taken DMR.
Like, you're never hitting headshots of it. The bullet travel time on the hand cannon is so slow that, like, you just have to be the best player on Earth to be hitting consistent headshots of it.
Yeah, I was messing around with it a little bit in game when it first came out, and I think I hit 1 shot with it across the course of about 5 minutes. So it's not easy to hit. When you do hit, you don't get the greatest rewards. I'm not surprised that he drops it right there. Max at Mount Olympus. Again, we talked about it earlier. One of the most, I think the most difficult NPC to take out is Zeus. For not that much of a reward, it seems like, but you know, it seems like Max knows what he's doing. He's certainly faring a lot better than I do when I play against him.
To be fair, I actually don't think any of the bosses are that hard to take out. But in comparison, I think Zeus is probably the most annoying one of all of them, yeah.
Well, he has 2 stages.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? It's like you think you've got him. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm back.
Nope. Not today. I mean, it doesn't do it with the other bosses either.
Yeah.
That's what I'm not sure.
He's just the most annoying one. It just takes a bit longer a lot of the time. But Max can handle it, and he can handle anybody trying to get involved in the fight as well.
Takes out the first player, and this is where it gets really annoying. We didn't actually get to see it, but he has that Zeus mythic as well, which he just throws at you, which is very annoying when other players use it. But when Zeus himself uses it, it seems like it gets 10 times more annoying. And you can see that it's not the favored weapon amongst the zero build players here. I wonder if that would have been different if they hadn't have nerfed it, because at the beginning of the season, it was definitely the most strong thing in the season, no matter what you no matter what you're talking about. It just was just overpowering in every single way. But now it's not quite as good, and it seems like it's one of those items where if you do nerf it, it's not really useful. I mean, if you do keep it as the same, it's too good, so it can never be at a point where it's kind of balanced.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think where it's at now is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not doing damage through builds is always a good thing, I think.
Tell me about it.
Franklin Saint. A little bit of a switch up of the strategy, I think, here. We definitely saw Franklin Saint over towards the Mount Olympus area. Seems to have rotated away towards the Grand Glacier area now. Isan, maybe a little insight into how he's so consistent here.
Common sense would have told me this was happening, but now we get to see it. I'm glad, because we have actually, I don't think we've actually ever watched him in a mid game, even with how consistent he is. But it does make sense that he plays for Forecast.
Yeah.
When you play on Forecast, man, it's just easy mode. It's like you're playing a whole different game to everyone else in the lobby a lot of the time.
Yeah. Especially in zero build.
Yeah.
In zero build, it becomes 5 times more useful than it does in build. Just being able to get in that position early on is so vital. And I'd be interested to know what I'm sure Kinch would have it. What are the statistics about the amount of duo victory cup, the zero build victory cups wins that do have Forecast enabled? Because it seems like it just increases your chances so much. And it's almost essential to finding success in that mode. And in this one, I'm sure it'll be no different to find that consistency.
No, 100% agree. We ain't seen Nafri in a bit. I don't know how long we'll be seeing Nafri for, because currently on the back foot. Doesn't necessarily need to be. It has similar HP. Not for much longer now with some of that being popped. And another player gets involved.
Wow.
And gets wiped.
Look at this, though. Now it gives Nafri the green light to go on through here. Wow. Gets slide kicked, was that? Away by Rake. And I think this could be the end of Rake's game, potentially. If he can just shockwave away, maybe not, but he can't. Unfortunately, gets taken out by Khan right there. It all just boiled over at a single moment at that point. Khan's going to be the one that's going to be able to benefit from that. Was that a slide kick?
I don't know what I just saw.
That was incredible. No, we don't get to see slide kicks enough. I want to see someone slide kick someone off of the island. Find the limb. That's what I want to see. Fox J. Someone that we haven't seen too much of as of late.
It's just had a
But still on
worse
some decent
spot.
points.
At bottom of the mountain, players on top. They ain't too fond of you, so they'll just sit there and just be a pain. Now you got to invest on your valuable shockwaves. And I mean, he does get past him, which probably was the goal. But investing a shockwave is tough. Ideally, would have wanted to use it a bit later. But to get away without any sort of shields being taken, other than his overshield, I think he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, that's a W investment right there, I think.
Yeah.
Saved your game, use one shockwave. Yeah, it's not ideal, but I'd much rather that than having to chuck down all of your shield bubbles, try and shockwave away, use two. You know, he did a really good job there.
100%.
Flobby is a name that I recognize from the last time we did this as well, the previous Zero Build EU Cup, and pretty solid player, if I remember rightly. I think we saw him going up for the island more often than not, if I'm not mistaken. He was kind of like our island warrior of that particular event. And you can see right here, he's just trying to play things a little bit more patiently. In terms of the leaderboard, 59th at the moment, 6 points overall, 39th with 1 elim and 55th with 0 in game 1 and 2 respectively. So not the best start for Flobby, but looking pretty good right here. This is outplayed at Mount Olympus.
Still at Mount Olympus.
Still here. Flobby's even getting a little bit more aggressive now. And this is the danger. I think when you're in this position, when you're in 59th, you need a good game. But to get a good game, sometimes you do need to be a little bit aggressive. You need to play for eliminations. You need to play for refreshes. And you kind of have to have that internal debate with yourself as, you know, do I want to try and ride out all of my utility here and just try and get a decent placement? Or do I try and, you know, play for the win and take a few more risks? Pretty tough to know what to do at different points in the tournament.
So I'm staying here towards the Reckless Railways. Large amount of players in this area. Almost becomes challenging of like, how do you position yourself here without getting caught out? There's a lot of sort of buildings and nooks and crannies though. That's why I can sort of stay where he is. But he's getting a bit antsy. You can tell he's sort of thinking about moving. Or at least cautious of people who can maybe take advantage of the fact that he's a bit in the open. Recon going for the island again here in this game. Maybe. At least positioned to be able to. Will he go up? Scary's definitely going up.
Yeah, he's definitely going up.
Surprised Recon didn't go up, but maybe he's just scared after what happened last game.
I would be. It's not ideal. Here we go. Scary actually going for the throwing of the EMPs, connects with one. That was really nice. Is able to, again, go underneath, but if we've learned anything from last game, awareness is key.
He's not, yeah, he's got to make sure he's checking behind him there.
Is that 3 players up there now? Oh, gets hit with an EMP.
Oh.
Another one baited to go back through the hole that was made there before. That was really nice. And Scary now has to retreat down to the low ground down below. He's back inside the rift as well. I don't know if he really wants to let this island up. He doesn't. But he just has to admit at some point defeat, surely, when there's, what, 4 other players on that island? I think it's time just to disengage.
And disengage he will. Picking a nice mountain to chill on as well. I think in most cases in these solo lobbies, you just want to play as close to center zone as you can. Or at least be positioned here, like on a rift or on the pads.
Yeah, Saltour here has the right idea. I think just hovering around this launch pad. Meta is trying his best to disengage. Only got 15 HP. Does have some shockwaves in order to get away, and some chug smashes to heal his way up. But obviously not going to be too healthy now. This is the danger when you're doing something that everyone else is also thinking about doing. Recon cleans up another player right there. Soul2O does get beamed from another angle. So repositioning required as Recon finds himself yet another refresh, a little bit of loot. We've seen him be quite aggressive in the previous games, kind of finding his stride again and not making the same mistake as last time and trying to be too stubborn about that island. Recon actually does want this island. He's gone back up to try and benefit from the position. So he's kind of changed up that strategy. We saw Soul2O actually waiting on one of these rifts before as well, but now decided to go up to the island. Recon just scouting out as much as possible. Now decides to rotate on out. And nice opportunity here for him to get as deep into zone as possible. As you mentioned, as central as possible is always a good way to go about it. And Meta just is able to find some heals up here as well. Storm Surge. Sure it won't be active, but it's always funny to see.
This game will be an interesting one for Recon, because obviously I mentioned, hey, look, you ain't got that same sort of win condition you had last game, and so in my eyes, I don't know if I can expect to see you doing as well as you did in that first game. This will certainly be an opportunity to prove that wrong, and he certainly has a good enough loadout to maybe make that come to fruition. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Still so many players standing in between him and that first place spot in this game. Pulls the zone as well, which isn't too bad.
I like he's got the EMPs in his loadout here as Meta gets involved in a fight. Pretty simple stuff for him just to find that elimination. Gets inside of the bunker as well just to make sure that nobody else is going to be able to come on through. So we've seen that happen so often third party. I think there is another third party that's rotating on up. Got to be careful of his back right here. Just about okay. It's Ryan, I think, that's just below. But yeah, just of course having that those EMPs for Recon is going to be so vital in the end game. We saw players literally just using them as almost bunkers, because you can just force people out of their bunker, and then that becomes your bunker to claim and sit in. So when used correctly, those can certainly be of value. Meta here just sitting on so much loot. This is the ideal position for him to be in.
Still has cover by proxy of sort of monument here. She's sort of playing around. Still a bit more exposed and open than maybe I'd like, but as long as he stays moving, stays active, isn't just stationary, he'll be alright.
His main danger here is going to be the people that are next to him. If he does get sniped or something, they could easily decide to third party that and easily take him out. Samux trying to get some shots onto Tarps. No shield either, as Tarps goes straight into Nika Pro right there. Nice shots to take him out. Finds himself that refresh in the distance. Sammy inside of this bunker as well, inside of the zone as well. Looking good. Only got one shockwave though, so using that's going to be of utmost importance when it comes to timing. Cone outplayed below. Leox trying to shockwave him out. Not going to happen. Now gets W key, and this is where this sort of area is going to start to go a little bit crazy. Another player up above it. Spray on down. And this bunker's become a lot less good without that protection from above, so he decides to go underneath. That's really nice. Look at this. He can't see those players that are going to have an angle on him. That's why he's chucking down another bunker.
A bit of a slower pace at this stage in the game to what we saw. I've seen a lot more people finding a bit more comfort in good positions. Leftover Prize, though, consistently being someone that causes havoc in these games.
Ooh.
Unfortunate not to pick that LM up, but we'll be able to claim the loot from it. Maybe we'll now get into another fight as a result over that loot. Doesn't want to risk it though, and so we'll get out of dodge, but look where he's gotten himself into, right into somebody else's bunker. Scared that person out though. As though we can claim the bunker and the bush. Leftover Prize. Things keep on working. A big pot just sitting there as well. How convenient.
Really nice plays from Leftover Prize right there. Being aggressive when required, but also forcing other players out. Flobby would have almost benefited from actually going there. Actually shockwaves him over towards him.
No.
Takes a lot of the health off of Flobby, but gets shot in the back by Neopro. And I mean, why?
He shockwave Flobby into him. Oh man.
I mean, I just feel like that was unnecessary. He was chilling. He didn't need to make that play. He didn't need to take him out. It just seemed like there was just no benefit to that whatsoever. So there we go.
He was getting sprayed by Flobby, and so I guess it was just like, let me shockwave him away.
Yeah.
But he's just thrown it perfectly to where that is just tough, man. I don't know. That is just unfortunate.
Max, though, picking up his 5th elimination of the game. We know how strong this player is when it comes to zero build. Pixovsky as well. 2 Titans in the zero build scene battling it out against each other. Pixovsky hits a great shot and comes out on top in that big battle. Also now has 5 eliminations. Is able to pick up that shockwave as well and keeps his game going. Jay Seaver not looking too good in terms of the loadout. Pistol and shotgun, no utility, so having to make use of this old bunker. And the player above is going to hear him healing. Doesn't want to give him a free stay inside of his hotel. Gets shot in the back. Does get himself a nice elimination. Another player falls right in front of him. And there's a bit of utility for him there. 2 of those shield bubbles. Gives him the refresh that could be required to actually do well in this game. 10 players left. Still all to play for, though.
All to play for. And again, just 10 players remaining. Again, emphasizing a bit slower paced, a bit more room for these players to work with. Who's going to make use of it best? Isan, no surprises here. Knows exactly where the zones are pulling. Obviously, he had forecasted earlier. Wait a minute. Oh, no.
What?
Reaction time check? Didn't move?
Not quite sure. I think he must have just put his controller down, maybe had a sip of his drink. Next thing you know, he's down and out.
And I mean, the game will continue. Ooh. Outplayed, making the plays, big damage being dealt, and picks up his 3rd of the game. And now, the Fizz to come in and allow him to move in. Just underneath this bunker. Notices there's somebody above him. That's Franklin Saint who moves out the way. SkyJump now. Trying his best to win. It's a 1v1v1 situation. One of these players all come out on top. They all are starting to creep closer and closer together. Who's going to ultimately deal the damage that wins them the game? Franklin Saint has that advantage with the dashes and the coin. Takes SkyJump down, looking to finish it off. Franklin Saint will do it. Franklin Saint will win. And starting out that game, all the way over towards that Grand Glacier area. We saw him earlier on, but comes out on top now, Mini Miner. A big dub for Franklin Saint.
Massive dub right there. I'm almost confused as to how he managed to get both the dashes and the mythic shotgun. I guess he must have eliminated the person with it, because that ultimately is what won him the game right there. We saw him with those dashes, using those mobility options to make his way through that end game. And I mean, what a great game overall. A slightly different pace to what we've seen previously as well. You mentioned it, Levin. It's a slightly slower pace, slightly more opportunity for players to find old bunkers. I think some players are trying to make their way back up the leaderboard. They're trying to force it and find some eliminations now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I liked it. I like the pacing of that, because, yeah, you got to see sort of people express themselves a bit more in that game, and there wasn't as much to be punished for. But ultimately, yeah, it's now 2 out of the 3 games we've seen where whoever has that coin and that shotgun from Grimgate is going to be the one to come out on top and win things out. And so clearly a big win condition, probably the biggest win condition we've seen now in these games. But a lot of familiar names in that end game, starting to find some rhythm here, Mini Miner.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw Isan right there doing a really good job, and we saw him, of course, getting that forecast in that game. We sort of got a little insight into how he's able to be so consistent. It was this play from Outplay just before we saw that elimination. He actually slide kicked that player into the storm, which actually gave him the upper hand in that fight. Of course, wasn't able to be enough to win out the game. Franklin Saint was the one that was able to do that, and it seemed like a change of strategy from Franklin Saint. We saw him going to the Zeus POI, of course, before, and it seemed like that was not really working too well for him. But what we saw was a really nice play from him, actually, in the Grand Glacier area.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, we'll see whether or not this confidence continues, because he's already somebody who was doing well, right? When, you know, when it comes to like the overall standings, and this game will only assist and help that. Of course, Isan there with a couple more eliminations than what we maybe saw earlier, right? Which definitely helps. We saw again willing to take opportunities in endgame when they come to him. Not the craziest fragger by any means, but, you know, making use of what he has. And I think that's what's going to be the key for a lot of these players. Recon, another game that, again, isn't quite like that impressive win we saw earlier. And so I'm sure the leaderboard, the standings are going to start to catch up to him on the overall side of things.
Yeah, and that was what we were mentioning earlier on. And you talked about how, you know, the luck of getting the best mythic and the best medallion in the game in the first game is not going to happen every single time if you're not playing for it, right? You're not always going to get it gifted to you. So it's all about how can you play when you don't have that in your inventory? How can you play when you don't have that easy sort of win condition, if you like, for the players? And I think we definitely saw that, right? We definitely saw a little bit of a difference right there. Franklin Saint, with that win condition, used it to his success as well. I think I saw 2 Franklin Saints, one in first and one in 11th right there on that leaderboard. So I'm not sure if there is 2 Franklin Saints in the lobby. Not quite sure what's happening there. Maybe we're getting confused as to which Franklin Saint is which. Maybe, I don't even know. One of them's doing good though.
One Franklin Saint is doing. Maybe they just like back each other and they're just like together in arms. You know, it's like you win, I win. You know, they're just Franklin Saint fans, I guess.
I respect that. They both love it. So, you know, that's what it's all like. Clearly, one of them is doing quite well, and the other one is probably looking at them and thinking, you know what, I can do that as well. As we get to see, of course, our first 3 games of action so far. We still have 3 more to go, so we've still got more action coming your guys' way. It's a 6-game format, and at this point in the tournament, this is where people might start to switch things up, might start to amp things up, but in terms of eliminations, maybe for teams or for players like Isan, just more of the same, I'm guessing, Levin, you know, more of that consistency.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, you look at how things have sort of gone for you, son, and you know the game plan is just on point, right? When you're playing for forecasts and solos, again, the game just gets so much easier for you, right? It sort of informs your decisions. It makes the decisions for you. You know where the next zone is, and in a mode like Zero Build, it is just so rewarding, and I think we'll continue to see him just be successful in these. The key difference is in those final moments of chaos, because I think Isan clearly isn't like a crazy chaos player. It's why he prefers to, you know, play for forecast, right? It eliminates a lot of the chaos. But in those moments of chaos towards the end, can you capitalize? Can you get as many eliminations as some of your counterparts are doing? If you can, you'll start to rise up even more.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure there's no forecast tower on the map right now that does spawn 100% of the time, right? So it seems like that might be something that he has to try and avoid, maybe, or try and sort of sort out in a strategy. If the forecast tower doesn't spawn in, if he's not able to get it, he has to try and figure out what are we going to do about that. And I guess it depends on where you're on the leaderboard. So let's have a little look at how the overall standings are looking so far going into game number 4. What are players looking like? Who's in what position? We see Ziggs all the way up on top right there with 71 points, but not too far behind Levin. It's Franklin Saint on 65.
Not too far behind at all. Isan sitting there in 4th with 57. I'm T-Sting just above him, 2 points ahead. Recon still win the top 5. So as much as I'm giving him a bit of stick, still able to stay up there in the top 5. Outplayed, rising up again after that really, really impressive game. And overall, that top 10, you know, even I'd say the top sort of 13, all players who have been key parts of these end games consistently here.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I'm seeing Pixovsky there as well. Just starting to find his stride, if you like. He had a 27th in the first game, 20th in second, and just a 9th right there in the third. So it seems like he's really growing into this competition. ZMax as well inside of that 11th place. Same sort of story, just trying to grow into the competition. We saw some nice eliminations from him. It was actually ZMax against Pixovsky in that game, which ultimately ended up taking him out. SkyJump as well, another one of our players that we talked about at the beginning of the show. One of our talented players that have sort of found their place on console and performing very well in the past in some high level competition. We get to see the next page as well. Some of our players that maybe now these are the sort of names that have to try and change up some of their game plan, maybe be a little bit more aggressive, try and play for that overpowered medallion, if you like, that Grim Gay area.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys as well have been struggling in the mid game, and what's the easiest thing to do when you're struggling in the mid game, mid minor? It's play for forecast, eh? Play for forecast. We're seeing some of those guys do it, so I think we'll see maybe some minor switch-ups in the mid-game strategy for some of these players, and some of them will just keep on rolling that dice and hope that, you know, they can pull a couple good zones. And yeah, I see the Franklin that you're talking about there. Yeah, not quite doing as hot as his counterpart all the way up there in the standings, but I'm sure they'll share the fame, not the money, but the fame.
No.
Yeah, definitely not the money. Definitely.
Franklin Saint will definitely benefit either way in this current situation. Isan, though, yeah, you mentioned it right there. I mean, players might start to play for these forecast towers, and that really can switch things up for someone like Isan, because, you know, I mentioned that maybe it might not spawn, but also even if it does spawn, you're not guaranteed to get it every single game. And players that are deciding to try and play for it, particularly if they are low down the leaderboard, we see Keon right there all the way down in 96. He might decide, you know what, I'm just going to play for this no matter what. I'm not going to disengage. I'm not going to back down. I'm just going to go all out, use all of my utility to play for this. And when you're Isan, that's a really difficult position to find yourself in.
Yeah, for sure. You know, when someone who doesn't have fear is a very scary person to come up against, right? When you almost feel like you've got nothing to lose. So, and ultimately, it's worth it for those players down there, because of course everybody walks away with some sort of money, but you also want to walk away with more money. so you know, you're gonna do your best to sort of rise up as much as possible, and you'll make the big plays in order to do that.
I think that even adds to it, because, you know, if you're in 100th place, 96th place, and you know that the next threshold of cash is not going to come until 71st, 75th, whatever it is, then you actually genuinely might as well. You genuinely have nothing to lose if you try and go for that, because you either you know, go up 30 places, 40 places by having a really good game, or you still end up with $100. So it's kind of certainly worth a go. Ziggs, though, our first place player at the moment, landing over towards the Grand Glacier area. Seems to be a pretty strong spot for Zero Build. I kind of like this spot for Zero Build, particularly now that it's not going to be as contested without the medallion there. This provides a lot of loot, and there's a lot of hills nearby as well, a lot of pads that you can use to rotate with. And if the zone does pull over towards this east side, people like Ziggs, people like that are going to be landing in this area are going to be able to actually find their way on top of those hills and just have that position early on.
Absolutely. I mean, for Ziggs, consistency has been part of the key and part of the game plan, and so I'm not expecting any hiccups here off spawn. That's been quintessential. And again, just the benefit of this POI. Franklin Saint also landing here. So, two of the better players so far today, both finding success out of Grand Glacier.
And we haven't really had a zone that we would say would be in their favor You know, we haven't had an end zone in that sort of east side of the map yet, so almost more to come from these guys, I'm sure, depending on how the games do end up going. Seems like they're able to solve any problem that comes up to them. Underworld, Scary Woo inside of this area, and again, it's all about timing. When do you go for the boss battle? Is it even worth going for at this stage? Is the Siphon worth it at this point? Maybe, maybe not.
Scary, a player who played for the Island last game. We'll see whether or not that's something that is consistently part of their game plan throughout the rest of these games.
That's going to be the big question for Scary. We've sat in 39th place right now, yeah, with 19 points. Hasn't been able to make it into that end game. 80th in the first game, 36th in the second with 2 elims, and 32nd in the third with 4 elims. So improving across the board of the games here, but every game's going to be different. Finds a nice couple of bunkers right there, which will definitely bolster his loot. Recon up on the north side of the map, one of our top players that we were speaking about earlier. One of those players that we're yet to see perform too well without the aid of that the mythic medallion, and of course the mythic shotgun. So we'll see what happens here, but looking good on the utility so far. So if he does need to get out of a sticky situation, you should imagine he could.
Ziggs now doing some fishing over here south of Grand Glacier. There's copper fishing holes here, and so some potential for some extra shields and heals. Max once again over at Olympus. Nothing seemingly changing too much across the map.
Yeah, it seems pretty standard. Maybe Max has gone for the Mythic a little bit earlier than he did last game. We saw him get into a little bit of trouble with another player rotating in, but doesn't seem to have had that problem this game. So he's able to find that medallion. I do think that medallion is quite good. The increased speed, the increased jump. I'm not a hater of it. I'm a fan. Especially in zero build when you're making those rotations. It's just not quite as guaranteed as the dash is when it comes to actually making it into the area and into the zone you're trying to get to. You can still get beamed, it's not free mobility. And Ziggs, we're getting a little insight into how his early to mid game pans out. It seems like fishing is a decent part of it. So, not something we get to see too much, I think, nowadays, fishing. It's not really as popular.
Yeah, a lot of the time people just use the EMPs and then that's that, you know? Fishing takes a bit of time. It's definitely something I don't see often. I have seen it a bit sometimes up north of the map, like duos and stuff, but in solos, yeah, not something I see often.
Here we go, big fight here for Recon. One of our top players in the leaderboard returns with a nice damage shot there as well. Here, I think he's got those shield fishes, so he's just able to heal up so quickly. Recon doesn't have those heals. I think he identifies that. And he just thinks, yeah, I'm just going to try and create a little bit more space between me and Hero. And maybe the space might have to be increased even more as there's another player from behind. So maybe they could go for a little pincher here between both players. And yeah, that's what he's going to do. Recon's going to wait for that player to hit those shots. And now Hero's on the back foot. Tries to hit some return fire shots of his zone. Gets caught again. There's another player that's looking over. And surely this is the end. Tyrak comes through. Easy as you like. Finds that elimination. Recon decides to come through, but I think this is the moment to leave for Recon, particularly with his HP. He's making that decision right now. You can see, particularly when he's getting shot from Tyrak. Doesn't want to force himself into a fight here, does Recon. And Tyrak is just making sure that he doesn't do the same either. Bit of a standoff.
Such an awful situation if you're a hero. Getting pinched like that. There's nothing you can really do. Unfortunate.
Yes, though.
Wait, does he know? He must know, yeah, he knows.
Does he know? Oh!
He must know.
Yeah, he knows. Nice shot. And again, takes out Tyrak, who was looking really good there. But again, he was the victim of his own strategy, if you like. There was another player that ended up pinching him with Recon. And Recon just seems to be the disruptor in this area.
The pincher.
Always the pincher himself. Always seems to be in and around some trouble. Nicely done from Virtus right there, able to pick up that elimination. Recon gets himself out as well, managed to find himself some heals. He's got that Glowberry Fizz at this point in the game is really nice. Decent loadout, considering where he lands. I'm intrigued as to how he's consistently finding some decent weapons. I guess it's just going for those eliminations. Finding refreshes. Yuki here as well, able to find himself a medkit, thankfully. Still all the way back in the storm. I think it was Hedra back there as well. And Altsu using one of those dashes. This is what we haven't seen too much of players using or saving the dashes too late on. I think these mid-game fights just force them to use them. Altsu's just sticking in this area, just trying to get a recharge of them every so often.
Everyone's just a green superhero around here.
Oof. Isan, big moments here. One of our top players. Getting W keyed. Oh! Hello. Who's that? It's Slicksy.
A spanner in the works. Wow. That is a huge spanner in the works. Isan, Mr. Consistent. Stopped in his tracks.
That's insane. That was not what I was expecting here from game number 4. We just talking so highly of Isan, and particularly his consistency. Hasn't had a game outside of 12th in the first 3 games. So to go down here at what, 80th place around that position? That's really, really tough for him. How's he going to bounce back from that? We'll have to find out, as he only has 2 games remaining. Everyone else is going to be able to move up the leaderboard, up the standings in all of those placements. Gives an opportunity for players like Recon and outplay below him just to catch up a little bit. Altsu in this area. Get some decent tags into that other player, but of course when you're in this area you can't guarantee that you'll find an elimination, and the other player's just going to disengage. So for players that are in that top end of the leaderboard, a big shift, a big mix-up there with Isan going down.
Didn't know you could fit this many people in restored rails. Everyone gathering around.
You.
Ruben. Over here towards Grim Gate. Surprised he's not just using his medikit. Got some bananas above there you could have picked up. Yeah, we'll use it now. and pick something else up. I'm sure there'll be something lurking around there for him. And there was bananas above yet.
Yeah.
Just the one. You can only find them in ones, right? But you can stack, I think 4 you can stack.
Yeah, I think it's up to 4. So if you get 4 of them, that's really, really good.
4 of them and you're chilling.
Chilling. Particularly when it comes down to those sort of heal-off situations in builds. We don't really see them in 0 builds, but I'm interested to see how they impact the build competition. Not as much love for the island this game, it seems like. Not as many players that are set up to get it. Only Sammy that we can see on the screen right here. So you'd imagine that he'd be able to claim this for free. Only other player that's potentially in the air is to that player to the south. A couple of players there making their way almost in tandem. I think they must be flying. Yes, they are. There you go. Players that are chasing each other, but also trying to go for this island.
I think we saw those two fighting in that game too. Oh, no, it wasn't Nafri. It was new players and somebody else. I thought it might have been Nafri. New players though, wants this island. Oh.
Oh. Not too much action between the two of them there.
Interesting. He's gonna claim it, so we'll be able to see Nafri soon.
Maybe he doesn't know. As soon as he does get this red dot, he might then go over and aggress. You know, we'll see how this one plays out. The new plays. No, actually just disengages. And actually doesn't want to be a part of that fight.
Never looked.
So yeah, didn't even have a little look. So some interesting plays from those guys. Recon over at Lavish Lair. Player that needs a good game. He needs to prove himself here.
Recon's still fighting in this one. He doesn't give up. Can respect that for sure. Oh, finally! Some shots between the two. Some warning shots, I guess, from new plays over to Nafri. Now somebody comes up, they'll take some shots onto them.
They will indeed. Trying to find the damage out the air. There is Nafri is still there, so they're quite happy to just share this position for now. I think they must have been chasing each other, and then ended up finding their way onto the same island for Max. Breaks that tree. Seems to be an absolute demon with this DMR. Just is able to connect with so many shots. It's a testament to his aim, because that's not an easy weapon to get tags with, but proving why he does land at that Mount Olympus POI and claiming it very well so far. It's got to be careful though. Island's up above. We know who's up there. I think it's the best option just to disengage.
Couple shots come through, but not too much damage being taken from Max as he moves his way into this next zone. We're going to get in as deep as possible. Might stay up here. I think if it wasn't for Franklin Saint being there, he probably would have positioned around where that bush is. Really nice spot to be in, but place a bunker here now and we'll deal some damage to Franklin Saint.
Ooh.
Some significant damage being dealt to Franklin Saint now. He actually wants to engage on this and fight this fully, but someone else has come in, so he'll back off just a little bit. Very unfortunate circumstances there for Franklin Saint. Maybe he should have done a better job of just keeping those people away. This
Wow.
guy's not bad with the DMR.
Decent. Very decent indeed. That's how it's done. He's just got that bullet drop on lock, hasn't he? He knows exactly how to operate with this as the next few shots that we see miss. But Franklin Saint, the one that's higher up on the leaderboard, unfortunately, surely his time is up, and it's Recon that does take him out. So that's another player that's up there on the leaderboard. A player that we know needs a good game and is having that so far. 3 eliminations to his name. Solid loot to close out the game as well. And a nice position inside of this bunker. Not quite inside of the zone, gonna have to move, but pretty decent. Oh no, gets exposed by the tires. Trying to get back inside the bunker. Just about gets back to safety. He has that shield crack, the overshield crack. And nobody really wants to make a play here because there's so many players that are looking on down. Nuti just retreating back to his bunker. Recon come to make his way in. Actually using the shield bubble to help his rotation. The downside of the shield bubble is everyone can see that you're in there. So as soon as that disappears, it's not going to end well for you. Max decides to hop on through. Connects with 2 shots. There's 3. Has to reload the shotgun with no spray weapon in the inventory. And again, just decides to take down the player inside of that bunker. Look at that. Sly kicks him away. Risey has no hope there. And Max getting shot at by so many other players. His aggression might turn out to be detrimental here, but has the facilities to turn the attention away from him.
I almost got really dicey there for him. And it's not done yet. Look at this. This is a really awkward spot to be in. Just a bit of solace just for a couple moments, and we'll see what this next couple of zones has in store for him. Master wants to fight though. Master wants to fight. Master wants to get in. But that is actually going to cost Mr. Sorry, not Master. Wow. Mr. LV Mr. goes down. Max might just try to pick up that loot. He's like, why not? It's just there. No one else is going to be able to get it. Maybe I should go for it.
He needs the heals. He has no heals. Only 104 or 154 effective HP if you're including the overshield. So he needs that extra little bit of HP. Will be absolutely vital. Our top player, first place on the leaderboard, it's Ziggs, who's been performing very well so far. Very well indeed. Slightly falling off in the last game in terms of that consistency. Third, 15th. 15th being in that third game. So he needs to try and rekindle some of that success that we've seen from him previously. Same with Recon. And he's doing that very well so far. Currently sat in 5th place going into this game. Able to find 3 eliminations. The ideal loadout as well, you have to say. As Hedra, Cohen, all these guys, they're trying to look for a little bit more success. And there you go. Some nice shots there with the pistol. Haven't seen too much pistol action so far. And I think that EMP is just so useful. I was trying to think about why they were throwing it at the shield bubbles. I think it actually just disables the shield bubbles. It doesn't actually damage the player through. It disables it. So that was something that I was just thinking about earlier. Can I confirm that?
Yeah, we've been seeing that all throughout the day. People breaking them shield bubbles with the EMPs. Teeson making good use of the dashes he had just to get ahead of that player behind him. Still a bit worried about him. Appion though went up a different way, and he's going to run towards where Appion just went down. He wants to fight.
Oh. He really wants to fight here. Got shockwave back into his own bunker. Well, that was quite, or that, his own bubble, which was quite nice. But unfortunately, in all of that aggression, goes down to Destru, who only on 13 points, that needs a good game. Right there, Recon again needs a decent game. Goes back inside of the house, which is looking less and less like a house as the minutes go by. All these bunkers that are taking up the space. Decides to shockwave away using the Flowberry Fizz as well. Makes his way really nicely into the zone. He's gonna be able to chuck down a bunker as well. And gets tagged up a little bit, but not too much. So it's really nicely done from Recon to find himself in a really, really good position.
This really could be the redemption game Recon has been wanting and needing to push himself up into contention for winning again. Big damage needs to be dealt if he wants to take that player down. Plenty of shields available for them. And that 30 shot won't be enough. Leox wiped out of the lobby here. And here in the safe zone, many players starting to fall away.
Seems like a lot more players in this endgame than we saw in that last one. So it's all going to be out reusing bunkers, finding space, using EMPs to try and create that space. And for Thomas, he just hasn't got any utility. He's making the most of this bunker that's right above him, just to find some sort of protection. Recon is also trying to find an angle on that player, but in the process exposes himself to Slicks right there. Does have 5 shockwaves still, so I'm definitely back Recon here to have a solid game if he doesn't slip up. Uses his final bunker in this particular moment in the front side of zone and has run out of bunkers now, but it pulls back over some old loot, some old bunkers, so he should be okay. And Slick's making that really nice rotation. Still got 2 bunkers to his name as well. Now just 1, but has the position above the rest of the lobby to go look on down. This is really where everyone starts to come together and fights start to happen.
Fights all breaking out. Recon, he's getting involved in some of them as well. New plays taken down. And he's going to make the shockwave play to move up into that position. And rightfully so, that's where you want to be. He was toxic. Wanted to try pick up another, but this is that player who really holds a lot of the keys to the game. It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to do much. Recon would be very favorable to pick him up. That would have went a long way in his game plan. But no, we'll stay alive now, just getting into the zone.
He done that from Recon, gets his way inside of the zone. Does still need a good game. We talked about it the entire game. It's a big moment for him. Luca finding elimination there as well. Recon finds the damage. Still 5 players left. Hasn't got any bunkers. Goes down there in 5th place as we have 4 players left to go. Heal off in the storm for Kev all the way back there. Sammy's inside of the zone, but can Kev make his way in? Sammy's going to go for the shots. Can't quite connect. Does connect eventually, but it's going to be the heal off from Kev that ends up winning in the game.
I cannot believe my eyes. What have I just seen? We've actually seen somebody win by a heal off in 0 build. What is going on? Oh,
I don't
know.
I don't know how that happened. I need to see the replay. I think did the Storm take the other player out?
No, it's the Fortnite Classic. I think they've just eliminated each other at the same time.
Oh.
I've had that happen. Yeah, we've all sort of, I feel like a lot of people have had it happen. We've all probably had it happen to us at one point in our Fortnite lives. But it seems like they just took each other out. And so he's just healing off in zone and he's just won it.
I mean, that's the way to win it. That was the play from Kev. He made the bold decision to try and go for that heal off early on, and it was certainly one that worked out for him. Look at this, though, from Recon. We backed him earlier on in the game, so to have a decent one he did, and he needed it. So it's good to see Recon climbing back up the leaderboard, which will definitely help him in the overall standings when we get to look at that. Thomas as well, one of our players that was performing well. We didn't get to see too much from Thomas throughout the rest of the tournament, and it was just that final few moments of this game that I was a little bit confused about, but I guess it does make sense. Both of the last 2 players eliminated themselves, or each other, I suppose, and it was Kev here. Yeah, you can see it. Karama gets taken out, and it's Sammy against the other player fighting it out. Sammy doesn't quite connect with enough shots, and yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it was a little bit of a...
no, actually, Sammy, it was the Storm, yeah. Sammy, it said Sammy went down to Storm. So I think he was just on the... Because he was low HP. And then the Storm comes across and it like ticks him as he's... that is actually so unlucky for Sammy.
I mean, he would have won it.
Unlucky, man.
He would have won it, but as we get to have a look at the standings again, just from game number 4, it's Kev.
This is 0 win. He has won a game in finals.
I love it.
0 eliminations. Honestly, I can't believe it.
You know what? Hats off to Kev. Kev, you have formed an entirely new way of playing, and that's what 0 Bill's all about. 0 elimination, victory royale, heal off. I would have loved to have heard his comms when he got that VR there. Like, I was just surely not expecting to find it, but he's managed to do it. I mean, there you go. Maybe we'll see some heal-offs in the last couple of games, but get to see some of our players there that did play well. Recon, of course, 7 eliminations for him. That'll no doubt boost him up in the standings. Actually getting 33 points. Not the most points, though. It's Keeb right there. Is it Keeb Gang right there in 3rd place? 34 points. So, of course, although he didn't end up winning, got the most points out of everyone in that lobby.
Yeah, he was popping off. He'd probably be the angriest that he didn't win because he had the HP advantage against Sammy. So you would have thought he'd win the fight. And then, yeah, it's just, oh, man, that is really, really tough. I still just can't believe we've seen a 0-elim win in these finals. That was not on my bingo card for today at all. Yeah, things going on across the rest of the lobby. I mean, that game is huge. That game is huge for the standings. Of course, Recon, I think, will be flying on his way up just with how impressive a game that was, especially since some of his competitors went down a bit earlier in the game. So we'll see how that actually looks when the overall standings come around. But, I mean, what did we just watch?
That game overall was fantastic, wasn't it? There were so many moments in there where I just didn't know what was going on. I was like, this is crazy. And
it's interesting
the end was no different
because Kev now is becoming a legend. Like Kev is now just like an icon forever.
Yeah.
But when he was healing off, like when he went for the medkit play, it didn't sort of note in my head. I was like, these sorts of medkit plays are good, not even as a game-winning play. It's just like the out healing, like those final moments of the game, right? So many players go down. The extra placement points you get, like hopping into zone and just like medkitting if you can get behind the bunker or something, isn't bad. Like you're gonna get yourself a lot of extra placement points that way. But you never expect to win the game doing that. Like you're just thinking, okay, instead of going down in 7th, I can maybe sneak my way into like top 3 and go down in 3rd or something. He's won the game. I mean,
it's absolutely, it's insane. I don't even know. We've got 2 more games coming your way, though. We've had heal-offs, we've had medkits, we've had islands, we've had all sorts. Will that continue? Find out more after the break as we see game number 5 and 6.
Gaming is defined by moments.
It is intense.
The joy of victory and the thrill of overcoming challenges. Welcome to our home of competitive gaming, where we can all experience exciting esports moments.
The final 1v1 of the game here.
And celebrate the pros and the rising stars.
I do want to see a female in the NCS.
Bringing you guides and deep dives.
Horizon can go up, but she can't go up fast.
And tournaments where the community competes.
Wait! No way!
Whether you're in a heated match,
Back, let's go!
or watching along at the edge of your seat.
A duo taking down a trio.
Let's create moments from the games you love.
He'll take it!
Join us and subscribe to our channel to follow everything esports on PlayStation.
PlayStation. PlayStation.
Enlist in the galaxy's elite fighting force. Work together to protect your future. Join the Helldivers, the galaxy's last line of offense.
PlayStation.
Welcome back to the Fortnite PlayStation Cup Finals. We've had 4 games of crazy action so far. Game number 4 didn't disappoint. Levin, I want one word to describe game number 4. What are you gonna say?
I had 2, but I was just gonna say heel off. That's really what I was gonna say.
That counts.
Yeah.
That counts as well.
Yeah,
I respect it. Game number 5 and 6 coming your way very, very shortly. We've had an amazing set of games so far, and certainly some surprises coming our way as well. No doubt that'll continue here in game number 5.
I mean, yeah, that last game. You know, I always say when we do these, like, I'm expecting things I ain't seen before, but that was a whole different level of something I've just not seen before and wasn't expecting to ever see in this type of competition. So we'll see how much more of that we can get. New plays here is going to kick things off for us as he darts his way on over towards his POI of choice over here at Fence and Fields. And a lot of other players looking to land here as well. And oh look, there's good friend Nafri's here.
Also in the area. Love to see it.
Yeah.
Fencing Field seems to be a popular choice. Yet to see too much fighting off spawn though, so maybe that'll change in this game. As new plays is making sure to loose up. Recon, one of our top players at the moment, having yet another solid game. We saw from earlier on, actually in first place overall. We didn't get to see the overall standings previously, but on top with 85 points. Zig in second place with 80 points. Karama's actually in third place with 69 points. Zero Build Demon FN is in with 66. And Testing is in 5th with 64 points. So it's still pretty close when you're talking about sort of 5th to 3rd. Seems like Ziggs and Recon have kind of moved their way up the standings and the leaderboard just to give themselves that little bit of a buffer. What's that? 16 points between 1st and 3rd. Only 5 points between 1st and 2nd. So things can definitely change here. And we've seen in the past players that have not had the best start sort of come back a little bit with a decent performance. And now's a better time than ever.
Absolutely. You want to make your mark on the tournament, on the competition? Do it now. I don't know if Ziggs tried to go in there.
I do it every time. Bit big for that.
Too big. Karama, another player who's been ever present in these games.
Three other players at Snooty Steps as well. Seems to still be a popular drop spot. Seems like players still do like to land here. And for Karama, he's actually quite happy with the loot that he's managed to gather from his side, and thinking, you know what, I'm just going to get on out of here. I'm not risking fighting, having to waste these bunkers early on. He's getting looked at by someone, but should be able to make it out in a fairly simple way. He needs to, of course. 3rd place on the leaderboard. Important moments for Karama. Someone that we've seen had a 2nd place in the 2nd game and a 4th in that 4th game. So by that pattern, I suppose we'll be seeing a 5th in the 5th game.
I mean, yeah. I just don't think that's how it works often. But maybe you know more than me here. I'll give you the benefit of that.
I don't know if I know more than you, but I might have just found out something. Like the discovery of...
You've clocked it.
Yeah.
This is just green.
Lots of green. Garcia. Lovely stuff. Takes out Eve game right there, and that was, I believe, the player that did end up coming 3rd in that last game, right? He was involved in all of that madness, so he'll be fuming after that, and fuming after this off spawn, I'm sure, as well.
All good. Got game 6 to come back and the clutch of dreams.
the leader Recon. We have got to see a little bit of their sort of off-spawn, their early game throughout the day, and it seems to be pretty solid, honestly. I think of all the players that are playing, they don't really rely too much on anything in particular, forecast hours, etc. So they can continue that. That'll be really nice. Hedra as well, a player that haven't really got to see too much of. Same with Akira. Just ever since that first game performance, we haven't really seen that continuation throughout the rest of the games. So I want to see Akira have a little surge in performance right now.
Yeah, just one of those players who's always involved, always has sort of moments here and there. It's all about making, you know, a bigger impact. That's what you want to try to see him do in these games.
Ryan here in Grim Gate. Again, very nice loadout for him. Only 21 points so far, so not going to be on the upper end of the leaderboard. Trying to have a little look at where he is. I think he's just around that sort of top 50 area at the moment. So certainly not ideal for him, but with that, with the gold shotgun, with the shockwaves and the bunkers, there's definitely room here for a decent game. But we've seen it so often today, is having the loot early on doesn't necessarily guarantee success in the end, because zones can play against you. There can be mid-game fights that you get involved in, you get third-partied, anything can happen. So making sure that you're in a good position is, in the end. Franklin Saint, they're going down. In the feed, it's Ryan. Gets himself a llama. Another player wants it as well, but maybe wasting that bunker slightly there. Not really too dangerous of a situation, so now he's only got 3 to work with.
Yeah, I think just became a bit overprotected of the llama. But it's fine, I understand. What would you carry here? Would you take the fizz or the chugs or the flowberries or the bananas? I think you just pop the bananas, takes the fizz, leaves the chugs. I think you probably made the right decision there, going with what most people would go with.
Yeah, I'd agree with him there, I think. It's difficult because the chugs can offer you that, the white HP healing as well. You know, if you get 6 chugs, that's 120 HP that you can heal up versus the 100 that you can heal with the Flowberry Fizz. But I suppose the benefit of the Flowberry Fizz, you don't have to use it all at once. You know, you have to use 20 at a time with the chugs, and Flowberry Fizz, you can do 5 at a time if you want to keep using it for rotation.
Yep.
So I certainly think the Flowberry Fizz is the play. This sort of loadout here from Kev, maybe setting up for another heal off. I'd love to see it twice in a row. That'd be absolutely fantastic.
Sky jump in the heat of battle right now. A couple players behind him, one in front of him. It's Hyrax that takes him down. That is tough. Hyrax now using his splashes to get himself back up. Ooh. Should be able to find this. All he needs to hit is 1 or 2 shots and it's done.
Oh my goodness.
I mean...
How?
Surely not.
Surely now, surely. There it is.
I really was getting worried there.
Yeah. That's one of those where if you're Hyrax, you're really hoping you're not on the main feed. You're really hoping you're not on the broadcast at that moment. But he was. So Managed to figure it out though. Thomas getting some shots onto Kev. I just want to see another heal off from Kev. I know he's thinking himself the same. And Thomas is a player we saw performing quite well in the last game as well. So another player that's sort of moving their way up the leaderboard. Hopefully they'll be able to continue that and find even more success.
Certainly what you'd hope.
Beam there from Kev. Really nice place to rotate through. You just know that you're not really going to be susceptible to getting beamed, sniped, anything of that sort. We haven't really seen too much sniper action today. I just don't think there's enough space in the inventory. As I say that, he gets absolutely lasered by another player.
Yeah, so what are you dropping the sniper for? And there's not many snipers anyway. So there's less snipers to be found. And even if you do find them, so what are you dropping it for?
It's tough because I think if you do manage to sort of somehow squeeze it in your inventory, I think it can provide so much value, because especially in a tournament where there's not many snipers in play, not a lot of people are actually thinking about it necessarily. You're kind of over peeking a little bit, being a little bit nonchalant with your gameplay, if you like. You're being a little bit less thoughtful about that. I think it could definitely result in some nice sort of bunker takeovers, some nice refreshes. It's just, what do you drop? Literally, what do you drop? Refine and reveals itself. Might see
Nafri's in the back. You might want to come back to it.
Yeah. You might do.
King will
Maybe
get
he's waiting on the
though.
green light.
Yeah.
Surely. Well, we have seen players that look like they're going to get it, and then it ends up going against them.
Someone's coming up now, it looks like, at least.
The
green out underneath could be a threat. It's actually Irax. And King doesn't want that smoke. He's like, yeah, you can do as you please, mate. I'm alright.
This is the point of the game where some players might be less willing to take risks and less willing to try and go for that island. Looks like King is one of those. Really doesn't want to force it if he doesn't need to. Irax really wants this island. Investing a bunker at this point, just to make sure that he should be able to claim it. Franklin Saint the second goes up there as well. And Max is also just peering over this top area. So there's 3 players on the island right now. Nafri down below, just observing. And I think for now it's going to be an easy claim for Hyrax. Although Franklin Saint might be trying to stop it. I think he should be okay.
Yeah, it won't be too many issues. Extra shields there. And more importantly, vision now on where everybody is. So can time when he gets the shields. Wanted for the 4 chug splashes.
Seems like this is the strat as well when you're up on the island, just to break as much of this top area as possible. See, Max has done that, just making sure that nobody could sneak up on him and use those as angles against him. Franklin Saint also up here. Let's see a few of the different names around the island there as well. So lots of big names. And one of the biggest names here, Ziggs, in terms of this tournament, is second place on the leaderboard so far. So just being very, very cautious as to how he goes about it. Not looking great on the loadout, I must say. So it'll be interesting to see whether he can find that refresh. Max, on the other hand, is looking pretty strong. Has those 2 bananas. And, of course, has his classic, mythic DMR as well that we've seen him use so effectively so far. This is what I was talking about from Ziggs. There's just no real utility apart from these EMPs. We might see an end zone here ending in the green river, the river Styx, where people are able to get those dashes. That's going to be hectic if that is how it does end. Have to see where the zone ends up pulling. The Ziggs just makes his way into the zone.
With 3 charges now to his name. And can use however he likes. I'm sure he'll have to use them wisely. Crossing the river here as well, I think, is the best option, as it's a good chance the zone continues to pull up towards the north. A position in this bush should be a nice spot. If zone pulls back down the other way somehow, then he'd still be set up well for it. Oh, and using another one of his charges. I don't know if that was intentional or needed, but it happened now, so gotta roll with the punches.
It's hard not to sometimes. It's hard to avoid using them. Accidental, exactly. It's not easy to not use them. I think he's used his... I know I can see the other one, so he's got 1 left, but it's... especially when you're mantling, when you're just generally playing, it can be quite easy just to press the spacebar twice or press the X button twice. It's certainly quite easy to do that. Doesn't look as though we're going to get an end game inside of the Dash River. There's a player all the way up on the north side there, the green arrow, chilling on the edge of the zone. Certainly a very decent play to make sure they can guarantee themselves in the end game. Recon getting hit by the EMPs as well. Does have the facilities to get away and cover himself if he does get into a sticky situation, but I don't think the other player is going to aggress.
He doesn't have shields, but he's looking good in terms of the bunkers and the shield bubbles. Not bad at all. Ziggs lining up a shot onto Ryan, but doesn't pull the trigger. Those shockwaves as well on Recon will definitely be potent all the way up here in the north. A bit more quiet than some of the chaos we're seeing down south.
Looks like just trying to get some of the dashes for himself. Does get beamed in the process, but this is quite nice for him. He's able to get some dashes, use a couple to make his way into the zone. And wholesome players as well, as they're all doing the same. The difficulty is all the other players are going to have their dashes as well. They're going to be able to use them. So Slicks has just sat inside of this bubble, which will eventually go, but Max, one of our top players. Recon going into that box. It was Alexi that took out Max. Recon's able to claim this area. Not going to get an amazing amount of loot, but one of our top players in Max going down at this stage of the game. Very rare to see.
I mean, you've got to think it has a big impact now on what the likes of Recon and others are going to be able to do to start closing that distance. You can see him running his way into zone. Doesn't have to invest a lot here. We'll just use a bit of this fizz juice just to go the extra distance, you'd think, maybe. Iraq's down, 5 limbs down. Recon makes his move now and actually spots Alexi. Probably wishes he could have taken a shot, but he doesn't have anything other than the shotgun. This loadout here, I mean, he's gonna get this a limb.
Wow, you're playing with fire with that loadout, because if you miss one of those 3 shots,
It's over.
it's over.
Yeah, it's over. Just over.
So I like how he played that. Actually, he was a little bit more patient with those shots. You know, he let the
You definitely lined it up a bit more.
lined it up, confident in his aim. So that's good. That's what we like to see. But very, very difficult loadouts to manage right there. What it does mean though is he has heals and all three of the utility items that you want. So you kind of balancing that. You know, do you try and play for those things? Oh, he's going to be careful. There's another player just up above him right here inside of this window. Thought that was about to boil over for a second there, but he's able just to kind of just run and just walk around until someone spots him. So he's able to save a couple of those utility items. Zig's one of our top players again. Hasn't got quite as good luck with the utility this time. Does have 5 use in this Flowberry Fizz though. He might not be in the game for much longer though as he gets beamed in the back. Hasn't got too much HP left. And the other player cracks him. This could be his game over. But no, flips the tide with a nice elimination, but can't quite stay in the game. It's Khan that takes him out and just provides Recon that extra breathing room to go on and push forward.
This is going to be a real huge game for Recon to show what it can do this loadout. I mean, again, it is just one of those ones where you look at it and you go, hold on, how's this going to work? I think his best bet is to play for an elimination using the shield bubble, pick up their spray weapon, and then he'd still be set up quite well.
Huge moments here for Recon. Remember, this is our leader. Second place in Ziggs went down. Kev, the winner of the last game, who put on an absolute show for us, showing us why he's able to find himself in those positions with those medkits and very, very sneaky plays on the outside of the zone. But this is such an important game for Recon. I think you're absolutely right. Play for an elimination with the shield bubble if you need to, and then pick up an assault rifle, a spray weapon, SMG of some sort. Later on down the line, is able to use this Shockwave X Flowberry Fizz to his advantage, gets himself into the zone and can now chill for a moment whilst everyone else makes their way in.
I think this is a nice spot as well. Just on the edge of that cliff. I think Zone's gonna start pulling towards the east or back towards the north. Kev was that green arrow we were talking about earlier, which is funny. Just swimming all the way out here. Tarps gets taken out by a king. He looks for a pathway to maybe play for that next zone. Don't actually pulling towards the southeast here, which again is a really nice zone port for Recon. Will be able to Shockwave Fizz himself in. Needs to be wary though of anybody that may get in his way. Rise not going that direction. Rise going back to the lobby actually. And King is in the perfect spot. Zone starts to open up towards him. He can continue to just play towards the dead side. Recon.
Recon.
Did he go? I don't think he actually did Shockwave Fizz. He just sort of dropped down here. Maybe he wants to use some of these dashes and shave his shockwaves, which is understandable. Yeah. But I might just put him in a bit of trouble. Find some splashes though. That will be very, very useful. And another bunker placed down. Has time to use the splashes if need be. And he's going for the fight. Going in. Needs to be careful though. That player's not going to be easy to just take down, especially playing around that shield bubble. Another player running around his base here. Zone pulls all the way back up north. Nice elimination here for Recon, but needs to start thinking about how he's going to get all the way back up that cliff. It's going to be a Shockwave Fizz play. All the way on up, and he's got the dashes to get ahead of everybody, but he still only has that shotgun in hand. Any fight he takes has to be close combat.
Really nice position all the way up here. Look at this, gets the high ground, looks down below. Kev's still in the game as well without his med kits, so you can imagine he's used that. No, Recon's out. It's Khan that takes him out and takes that position as well. It's a 1v1 between Kev and Khan. Who's it going to be? Is it going to be Kev twice in a row? Or is it going to be Khan with a big elimination victory? We don't know yet. It's not going to be Kev. It's going to be Khan that takes him out. That's 6 eliminations for Khan, who takes home game number 5.
I really thought Kev was going to do the back-to-back. I actually believed. I really did. He was swimming around the whole past couple zones. And he just weaseled his way into the final moments there and was very, very close to winning it all though. But for Khan, a big win nonetheless. 6 eliminations with that win is huge in terms of, you know, going into this final game now.
Yeah, I was rooting for Kev there. I wanted to see him win without just a heal off. I wanted to silence the haters that were saying you're made by the heal off. That's all you can do. No, he has more in his locker. And still, a second place is not too bad at all. We get to see some highlights from the game that we just saw as well. A very interesting one as well, because that end zone there, Levin, I did mention it that it might not happen with the way the zone pulled, but it did actually pull towards those dashes and just added a whole new dynamic to the end game that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I mean, everybody just had like movement. Everyone had rotation items, and actually ended up sort of, you know, filling out the lobby a lot more. People just sort of scatting around with the dashes, and nobody really actually thinking about where they were going. They just got excited, had some dashes, and thought, yeah, let's just go. But yeah, interesting zones there towards the end for sure. Definitely made for a different flavor of game to what we've had in the previous ones.
Yeah, we saw Recon there as well with just that single shotgun loadout. It seemed like he was quite stubborn about it as well. He didn't really want to take anyone else's spray weapon. He made sure to prioritize that mobility and, of course, those utility items, the bunkers and whatnot. So I think that definitely worked out in his favor. He's going to definitely boost his way up on the overall standings. And this is it from Kev. Nice eliminations through and through, but it's not going to be enough. It's the big battle.
It's the battle that everyone's been talking about shotgun-wise, right? Because Kev had the gold gatekeeper shotgun, and Khan had the mythic one, right? So, you know, everyone's been talking, which one do you want to take? In this case, it was the mythic one that came out on top. So, hey, maybe something there for the people who want to entertain that one. Nevertheless, though, a massive game for Khan. 42 points is gargantuan in the context of this competition. New players, another really good game. Recon, as much as he probably wanted and deserved a bit more out of the game, 4th is not too bad, and 22 points will go a decent way as well. I mean, overall, going into this last game, I really do wonder what that sort of standings looks like and who really now is in the pole position. I think it probably will be Recon, but I think there'll be a couple close behind it.
Well, remember, Ziggs went down early, didn't he, in that game? And he was second place by only 5 points going into game number 5. So for Recon, he was able to stay in that game for a long amount of time. You could see that almost in his gameplay, where he didn't necessarily want to go for too many eliminations, wasn't trying to go for too many risky plays. He only had the one, I think, there in that previous game. And yeah, there he is, Ziggs in 26. So I think all he needed to do was just to stay inside of that game, which he did very well. You know, made sure to keep mounting on those placement points and ensuring that he could stay involved and stay at the top of the standings, which I'm sure he still will be. But it all comes down to the last game. This is where things can change. We've seen players move up the standings. I mean, Kev, he was nowhere to be seen after the first 3 games, and then managed to find himself a victory royale in the fifth game, and then, or the 4th game, and then a second place in that 5th game. So he's able to boost his way up on the overall standings, I'm sure.
Yeah, that is massive for Kev. He's really had, you know, a lightning second half of this competition, sort of from out of nowhere for us, really, and really showcasing what you can do. But look, all these players, all these ones, especially back here, right, the ones who maybe didn't have the best of a game 5, it is this game 6 that really is the difference maker. That's where, you know, your fate is really decided. And so it's going to be a game of big switch-ups, big upsets, I'm sure, because there will be players that will pull out things from who knows where to try and make an impact on this game.
Yeah, you never quite know how the last game is going to go, because all it takes is Recon, for example, to go down off spawn, for him to get contested, maybe Ziggs to have a crazy off spawn win, or even the opposite, for everything to shift and change. So I'll be interested to see how that's going to look. And I kind of want to see how the players that are further down kind of act. You know, we talked about going for that Grim Gate medallion, going for the Forecast Tower. We haven't seen that yet, I don't think. We haven't seen like a massive change up in strategy. It seems to be sort of same old, same old.
Yeah, and I think if there's going to be a game where that has to change, it has to be this last game. Again, it's like, you know, you're walking away with $100 guaranteed. Everybody in this lobby will do that. Let's do something to get a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Because worst case scenario, you don't succeed and you still get your $100. So, do you know what I'm saying? Try something different, try something out of the blue. And, you have that experience going into the next competition as well.
Yeah, and if you have just joined us, we're going into the 6th game of this competition. It's the finals. It's the last game of a 6-game format. $3,000 does go to our first place player. So there's lots on the line. Second place getting themselves $2,000. So that $1,000 difference is going to make all the players that are in that region really try and fight it out for that top spot. And I'm excited to see how things go here. We've had 5 games of good action, 11. I want to know your one highlight. I think I can already guess what the one highlight's going to be.
Really?
But if you could choose one moment, what would you choose as your highlight moment?
I'm curious what you think my highlight is, because I think we'll...
Really?
Should we both say it at the same time?
Okay, we'll both say it at the same time.
3,
You ready?
2, 1. Heel off.
The Kev heel off.
Yeah, it was the Kev heel off for me. That was just like nuts. I could have never predicted that. I feel like we could have maybe predicted a couple of the things that we've seen today generally, but somebody winning by a heel off was just never something you would have seen or expected in this type of lobby. And then for Kev to then go back the next game and be like, no. It's not just heel offs. Like, I'm here to stay. And again, even then, it wasn't heel off, but it was almost like a very similar strategy of just being very safe and cautious. Like, he spent the majority of the last 5 zones just swimming. Like, he was literally just not even on the island at all. He was like, I'm just going to swim and stay on the very edge of the storm, and no one's going to see me, and it's going to pay off. And it did. So I expect to see very similar plays from him again this game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we saw him throughout that whole game carrying 3 medkits, and then when we went onto him in endgame, they seemed to just disappear. So I think he might have even played a little bit of a heal-off strategy earlier on in that endgame. Maybe played a little bit of Storm and then made his way in, because it was such an easy rotation for so many players in that last game with all those stashes. But I'm glad we're on the same page about the best moment of the day. If you did miss it, go back in the stream and watch it. It was an absolutely fantastic moment. It was one where we were all sort of a bit confused. We didn't really know what was going on. Like, what was actually happening there?
Yeah.
And there was a couple of moments during that game where we were quite like that, but we'll see how this last game goes. We are getting into it very shortly. We're getting all the players ready to rock and roll on the battle bus. Overall learnings from today, 11. Is there anything that you might have seen that you were surprised at, that might have took you by shock a little bit, or is it kind of just business as usual?
Business as usual. I think today has definitely reinforced that Grimgate is very, very strong. And that if you have access to the mythic shotgun and you have that medallion that you get from Grimgate and you have the ability to dash, yeah, you are set up good. What's that now? I think maybe that's 4 out of the 5 games we've seen, or maybe 3 out of the 5 games we've watched where the winner of the game had that when they won. It's like, whether you get it early on, I think a lot of the times the people who are getting it early on aren't the ones who are holding on all the way. But once you get it near the end game, you're more or less, a favorite to win the whole game. It's just guaranteed movement, super, super strong.
It's almost a detriment to get it early on, it seems like, for those players. We haven't really seen the players that have got it early actually go on and win, because it seems like you're almost a target for those players that are trying to find that medallion, that mythic. Someone we haven't seen too much of today. Only a couple of times off spawn. It's Malabuka, picking him up at the beginning of the show. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out for him off spawn. Looking at where he's on the leaderboard, 96th, unfortunately.
Quiet day in the office for Mali. You don't say that often.
You really don't. Let's see if he can end the day with a little bit more success. This reminds me of Chapter 2, Season 4. Everyone landing on the one chest, and it seems like this is the one that everyone wants to land on. Does get himself a DMR and a shotgun here, Malabuka. Initiating the fight really nicely. All he needs is one shotgun shot here. Doesn't even need to use the DMR, but will do anyway. And finds himself the elimination onto Pixel right there. His doubles his points for the day. And there it is.
What a flex. What a weird flex. We get it, bro. You won FNCS. Like, we get it, bro. You ain't got flex on everyone like that, man.
Just a little reminder, just in case we forgot, he is the FNCS champion on EU at the moment.
And that pickaxe is clean.
I know, right? I reckon we should try and get it one day,
We've always asked. We've always asked. Every season I'm asking someone from Epic, like, hey, could us casters, just get it? Just for a day.
Yeah, we should,
actually. I'd take it for a day.
Exactly.
Maybe at the end of the year. Once, the FNCSs are done, you give it to the casters as well,
Give it to the casters.
Get it.
Just to keep them happy, stop them nagging all the time. That's what we need to do. We need to beg. We need to beg more.
I will. I definitely will.
That'll be nice. I feel like you get focused though. If you were to actually have that in a lobby, I feel like you would get focused.
Oh, 100%. But it's worth, because it's so clean.
It's just cool, isn't it?
Look at Kev. He's a swimmer. He is a swimmer.
I like this though.
He's just going to do this
the
all
way he's
game.
playing. Maybe. I hope not, because he needs some loot. But that might be the strategy. He seems to just be like looking at Snooty's steps, waiting.
It's funny because someone in the chat, when he got his win, was like, they were like, Bush Camp Dad final form. and Kev is really showing off here. It's like, forget the bushes, we're just swimming.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's what Bush Camp Dad sort of rebrands to now as a sort of a comp player, because you can't get high ranks anymore by just camping.
Really?
As far as I'm aware, like they kind of nerfed they kind of nerfed him.
They patched Bush Camp Dad. Wow. Wow.
I think that's what it said in the patch notes was Bush Camp Dad vaulted in the latest update.
Oh man, poor Bush Camp Dad.
Here we go though, Malabuka. Starting to take out some of these dogs. I don't think these are as part of the battle, I'm not sure. Maybe they are actually.
Yeah, the
are.
wolves
I don't know
are.
if they were just a part of it, but yeah, they are. So he's able to now move his way over to Cerberus 6.
Ooh.
That is our second place player with 89 points going down. And if you not keeping up with the leaderboard, Recon's up on top with 107 points. That was Ziggs right there going down on 89, I believe, unless he got an elimination. So 89 points is what he's going to be frozen at this point. Kev's still in third place, Karama in fourth, and Noah right there was just able just to spoil the party for Ziggs. That's always the danger when you're up on top of the leaderboard. Anything can change, particularly off spawn, and that's where it all went wrong for him.
Mali has everything he needs in this game to have the big final pop-off game that he always seems to have in every competition. Like we said earlier, he's been a bit quiet today, but definitely could turn that around with some classic Malabuka W key in this game.
We spoke about it. What's he got to lose? What did I say he was in? 96th, I believe? Yeah, 96th. So he's claimed the mythic. He's claimed the medallion. And we give him such a good chance in this game. Recon, still alive, still in the game, still healthy. In all aspects. 107 points. Not quite as stacked as he has been previously. But what we're seeing is a couple of shockwaves, so could be worse for him right here. It seems like he's just able to get a lot of scrap loot from his drop spot.
Recon's always got some good loot. Irax looking to play for the forecast tower. Why did the bot spawn so far away? That's really been bothering me lately. They spawn so far away.
I suppose it's more balanced because you can't just build around the whole place. So it probably makes these fights more interesting, particularly in obviously in builds, not in zeros. But I suppose it kind of means that you can't just capture it guaranteed anymore.
I feel like you're still going to capture it guaranteed though. It's just like effort now. But now I just got
Most people to.
I got to sprint like 15 meters over to get it now. It's just a bit like, come on, mate. Either way though, Hyrax now playing with that forecast. Now we'll be able to see all of the zones ahead of time. And you know someone's in this tree. I believe it was Malibuki. Yeah, it is Malibuki.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, third place player against Pixovsky, one of the biggest console names.
Kev needs to get out of here.
He really does. He needs a decent game, particularly now that Ziggs has gone down. Opens the door for him. Was around about 17 points behind Ziggs going into this game, and I think he still is. So it's an important one for Kev, and we haven't really seen him get involved in these mid-game fights too much. Seems to be focused on making it to endgame, playing on the dead side, etc. So going down here would be an absolute disaster for him. You can see him just being extra cautious about everything that he does, because every single move that he makes here is going to have knock-on effects, positive or negative.
I'm glad he survives, because Kev is someone who now has become a bit of a fan of, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just rooting for him. I really am.
Sometimes you do have those people, whether it be in sport, in esports, in anything. You just like them, you know. You just have something for them. You like the way they go about their business.
Ooh, Flobby
Yeah, certainly
down.
one of those. Oof.
Flobby was chasing after Pixovsky. Well, everything kicking off in sort of mid-map here.
Unfortunately for Flobby, wasn't quite in the mix for that top spot. 37th place, he'll probably remain in that position. Of course, drop down a little bit after the end of this game. Not quite the day that he would have hoped it would have been. But hopefully for him, he'll be able to come back stronger. Hyrax as well. Player that is also running only one weapon at the moment, but he's opting for the burst SMG as that weapon. So it'll be interesting to see if he can put that to good use. Recon, trying to find a good opportunity to take some shots here. Nice to see it. Actually getting W keyed as Mex right there. Mika Pro goes in. Recon then goes in to clean up. Can he do so? Of course he can. First elimination of the game for Recon. Adds to the placement point that he's already got as well, so he's able to go up in the standings and further bolster his position up top.
He's been promoting it so much, I actually just had to go check his IG. I mean, the brother's a grinder, I'll be real.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's a grinder. He's got 7.6k earned. Looking to add some more to that today.
Oh.
Maybe he can make, I guess, I was going to say maybe he can get to 10k, but he'd have to win, right? If you wanted to
That's
do
a
that.
win, yeah, he would.
It's-
He would. Second place, what was it? 7.9, you said?
He's 7.6, sorry.
10.6. Oh, so okay, so it's even second wouldn't quite get into 10k, but it'd get him very close. He could probably get there with victory cups this season. Respect for Kev. So he's not posting selfies on there; he's posting clips.
Oh yeah, he's posting clips and leaderboards of events he's done well in.
Okay, that's good.
So I'm sure we'll see the PS Cup up there after today, assuming this last game goes well.
This is what we've seen from him all day, just sort of playing inside of the storm, not afraid to do so either. And I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. Storm sickness, realistically, is his main trouble, but you know, there's no real need to rotate in too early. If you have a plan, you have the whites, you have the potential for it. Games aren't going straight over to heal off. You don't have to worry about that right at the end. So it's definitely a play. It seems to be working out. Recon just below this island. Interesting to see if he actually goes for it at this point, because his position up top is not safe.
Up on the island, who is going to claim it? So I saw Malabuka gliding around there. He's much more active in this game than he has been in others, which is nice to see for sure.
A lot more action on the island here as well. Seems like people are more willing to fight. Recon doesn't want anything to do with that. Make sure that this rift is his. He's trying to just fend everyone off before using it himself. Is he going to go on the island though? This is a big decision for him. You know, in these moments when you're leading, every single decision that he makes here will certainly have an impact. As he sees Malabuka just popping a shot or a big pot right there, I believe it was. Nice shots from Recon. Malabuka uses the rift to get away, but that was huge right there, because if Recon got that limb, he would have got the medallion and, of course, the mythic shotgun that we know can win games.
And now he's going on the chase. Does he know where Malabuka is though? No, he doesn't. He's not sure which one he is. Oh, now he knows. Now he knows. Now he knows where Malabuka is. But he isn't going to chase. He's actually going to go for sky jump. Malabuka, though. Just going to stay here beneath. And Recon might go scouting once again.
Oh!
Oh no! Oh no!
The leader, Recon, is about to go down. And there it is. First place out. Second place out. The top of the leaderboard is certainly about to shift in this game. It's certainly about to be mixed up. It opens the door for Kev, who's in third place. And if there's anyone that knows how to make it to endgame, especially in this the latter stage of this tournament, it's Kev, and here he is. If he saw that in the feed, I don't know if it's maybe he's got anonymous mode on or something, Recon, I'm not too sure, but if he knows, he surely understands how big of a game now this needs to be. He needs to make it to endgame.
I mean, wow. The opportunity here for Big Kev is not a joke.
I mean, for Recon right there, I'm just trying to decipher what he was trying to do. I'm trying to think about, you know, what the strategy was there. He just seemed to be chasing everyone, no matter, you know, who it was. He seemed like he was chasing Malabuka. Then he went over to the player on the island, tried to loot a chest out of nowhere, and then got landed on it. It all seemed like a bit of a rush of blood almost in that situation. Didn't quite know what to do. As Kev now gets involved in this fight, it's a great shot onto Fortnite King, but does get shockwaved away, so he's not quite able to find the final elimination. Kev's got to get inside of this bubble right now. This could be the end of Kev's game, though. Top 3 down! And the dream for Kev is over. The fights under the island are proving to be so impactful for the overall standings. Who now can take the lead? Is it Kurama?
It is Kurama. Kurama now is that next player up who you're looking at, and it'd have to be a monumental game. He'd probably have to win, right, with a fair amount of eliminations to be able to get what, the 30+ points he needs to overtake Recon. So really, all eyes now are on Kurama. Maybe new plays, Zero Build Demon, or a couple other names of guys who maybe could catch up now if they are still up in this game. But Kurama is now the player who really changes the destiny for Ziggs and Kev, as well as potentially Recon as well.
if you're Recon in that moment, there's going to be a sigh of relief that the other players that are around you that could potentially overtake your top spot in Ziggs and Kev are down and out, so he'll be happy about that. But it's not over for Karama. He needs a round of 5 elimination victory royale to get the 40 points that he needs to overtake Recon. I think he ended on 110, maybe a little bit more. So 5-6 eliminations and the VR for Karama should do it for him. Likewise, the new plays add a couple of eliminations to that, and he will also find himself the same success. So it's still all to play for if one of these guys can have a big pop-off game. So, I mean, really not too sure how things are going to go. Franklin Saint getting inside of this bush. Can't quite see the other player. Has to retreat on out. Using these bubbles to disengage. Max now finds his way into his first elimination of the game. Franklin Saint against Low Aim. Still inside of this fight. And it's a bunker, it's a bubble battle, I should say. He does lose his overshield. Low Aim the same, and there it is. Franklin Saint finally takes him out, but in a really bad position because there's so many players that can look down on them now. And yeah.
Just like
Franklin
that.
Saint is out here.
Karama at the helm of it all. Sees players in the storm. Needs to be careful. One of those goes down, and the other one still lurks behind. There's a couple others now as well as he looks towards the north.
Karama's looking good here. He's got the shockwaves, so he shouldn't have to worry too much about the rotations. It's just when he gets into the zone, what's he going to do? Where's he going to position himself? Because at this point in the game, there aren't going to be too many bunkers that are going to be there that aren't already occupied. And these shield bubbles aren't going to last for too long. You can see him there just trying to get inside of this tree, potentially, just hiding underneath it for now. Got to be so careful, because every single move that he makes here is going to have an impact. I don't know if he knows it, but he's the front runner for the points right now. New plays also in that conversation, so all it takes is one big game. Karama getting looked at now by Nafri and New plays at the same time. New plays just trying to take this position of Nafri, who decides to disengage or move out of that position. And Karama now, this is what we were saying about him. He needs a big game. He just doesn't have the bunkers to get some safety. He has to shockwave away. Uses the bubble as well to ensure that he is safe. Noob plays right down below. And this is difficult for him because there's just so many players everywhere to be seen right here. We've got Khan up there. Hedra there as well. Cone in this area. There's about 5-6 different players all trying to squeeze into 2 bunkers, and there's not enough room for all of them. Khan just says, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm going to make my own space, but unfortunately the hill is going to force him down, and New plays is also in this area. Khan has to waste yet another bunker. It's so difficult for all these players right now. New plays decides to go on in, gets tanked up in the process. This is a really difficult position to find yourself in for all these players, because not only are you in and among so many different players next to you, you're also being looked at by all those players up on top.
Yeah, and this rotation could be one that poses tricky, especially without shockwaves. This has to fizz and pray. I'm probably gonna have to be one of the last ones to rotate there as well. If he tries going early, certainly will be punished for it. Khan with the shockwave in hand definitely will have heads up, and he's actually going to try look to go first, but interesting choice of how he moves here. I don't know if he quite used that efficiently. He sort of used the only mobility he had to not really go too far, had dashes as well, and now we'll have to use all 3 of those. And ahead of the pack, but not by much. Probably going to start getting shot in the back here. New plays, dealing damage on his way, and Karama will go down.
Karama's out. That's the front runner for the first place now, down and out. Remember, he was 4th going into this game. Now, there goes another elimination from Khan. That's his 2nd of the game. The next player is New Plays, who does go down as well. So I don't even know if it's possible to overtake first place. Is Zero Build Demon still in? We don't know. It could all be over right in front of our eyes already, but there's still so much to play for in terms of prize pool. Khan trying to get himself involved, but gets a little bit too over-aggressive.
Isan down. That was 7th.
Isan down as well.
Recon is
7th
licking
place
his
down.
lips.
He's loving it. I don't even know who's left that could actually realistically take over that first place spot. Zero Build Demon potentially. I don't even know if they're still in the game. Slicks testing. We'll have to wait and see. 7 players remain. Meta inside of this bunker. And I think the leaderboard's not going to change too much as we've seen it. That's Slicks with an elimination. He was our 9th place player going into this. 65 points going into this. Max also still keeping himself in that conversation. A little bit lower down though, so I don't think he's going to have his eyes set on that first place spot necessarily, but still potential for him to move up in the ranks right here, especially if he's going to hit some shots like that onto other players. And with all of this mobility that he can use, he can get right involved with Slicks right now. Cracks the shield, gets another shot. There's the elimination. Slicks is down and out. His dream is over, and now there's only 4 players left.
Outplayed, sitting above a lot of his competition, needs to start moving down though, closer towards them. 5 elims already in this game. Max has 3, missed up with just the 1, but can he add a couple more just to solidify this game? Just the 3 players remaining. Outplayed, looking to be aggressive, getting Mr. Face, and it is going to pay off for him. That's the 7th. Can he pick up the 8th to win the game against Max? Another prominent fighter in this lobby. It looks like Max is going to have the edge and gets his 4th to win the game. Max FN comes out on top. A player who has been very impressive throughout the day, has showed us why they are an ever-present force in these lobbies, and they close out game number 6 of the win here, Mini.
Really nicely done from Max right there. We always knew that Max had that potential. We haven't seen necessarily a massive pop-off from Max all day, but he's left it to the last moment for us. Game number 6. Even still had 3 shockwaves in his inventory right there at the end, so didn't even need to use all of that utility at the end. But what an incredible game that was. We saw our top players going down early, which made things really exciting for the players down below, but it just seemed like no one wanted to deliver, Levin. No one wanted it.
I mean, yeah, like it was really tough towards the end there. I mean, a lot of drama to say the least. You know, once Recon goes down, you're thinking, okay, someone's gonna overtake him now, and every single person that was in line to just kept falling and falling and falling in more tragic ways. I mean, again, Recon would have been the happiest person alive after he went down, seeing all of his opponents going down. And you've got to think he's held on to it. Khan, other players in this lobby, again, maybe haven't had the crazy pop-offs, but have done well throughout the day to make this a fun competition. And then, of course, the winner of the game, Max. Again, it's always one of those players who's going to just be present. Outplayed, unfortunate not to win the game. That would have been a huge win. But outplayed, an 8 elimination win would have been massive, but Max just got the better of him at the end there.
Yeah, and I'm impressed with Max there. He was 17th going into that game, so I'm kind of intrigued as to how the overall standings are going to look when it comes to this. We like to do things differently here, though, on the PlayStation Cup. We don't like to show you the first page where we know who's going to win. We like to do it so we build up the tension. We like to show you the last page first and then build up to that first place. So that's how we like to do things. We're going to do just that. The last page of the players right here. Obviously, not an ideal day at the office for any of them, but still walking home with some cash.
Yeah, still walking home with something. Malibuka didn't play the solo victory cups, but he still gets $100, which is the equivalent of a win in that, right? So I'm sure it'll be all right. Again, looking at that next page, some of the players here who were able to again get some money, but not maybe the performances they would have liked. Kira early on was quite impressive, so I'm sure he'll be thinking, oh my goodness, how am I down here? I could have been way up there, but again, just wasn't quite his day.
Yeah, that's the way it can be. Sometimes the zero build, sometimes it's simply not your day. You don't get the bunkers, you don't get the shockwaves, etc., etc. But some of the names on the screen right here, this is the sort of page where it's like, there was potential here. We saw some decent games here and there, a little bit of an ounce of consistency at points, but not quite across the full 6 games. And that's really what all it comes down to. The players at the top were able to do it quite consistently throughout the games and also find themselves a victory royale as well. So GG to all the players on this page. The second to last page, though, this is where we get to see some of those players that really would have wanted a lot more, because they could have bagged out a lot more as well from being in this position.
Absolutely, right? They were, 1 or 2 better games away from really, making the mark on their overall earnings. But still, some of these guys as well, you would have thought they'd be higher, right? The likes of SkyJump, Hyrax, right? You would have thought they'd be a bit higher, but just not quite the way the cookie crumbled for them.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But I want to see the final page to reveal the winner of the PlayStation Cup. It's Recon who does come out on top. 110 points. Slicks there in the end, actually able to overtake second place to make their way into that second place. I mean, look at this. Outplayed in third, Max in fourth, Ziggs in fifth. And there's just some names on here like Kev, for example, who was primed to take over that second place spot. Maybe even that first place we had him in the conversation for, down there in 11th. I
mean, that's tough. That is tough. Again, big congrats to Recon. Super impressive throughout the competition. But that last game really threw a spanner in the works. Like, everything is sort of changed up almost, right? In terms of, you're looking at who the top 4 players who could have overtaken Recon going into that last game. They're nowhere to be seen in that top 5 anymore, right? Outside of Ziggs, who was ironically one of the ones that fell a bit earlier, we thought. So again, big props to Outplayed, especially right that last game. Again, could have easily been second place for him if he had gotten their limb onto Max and won the game. He would have been in second, but nevertheless, big props to all the competitors that played today. Definitely did not disappoint and entertained all the way throughout.
I mean, the overall strategy from Recon today was absolutely terrific. I remember when he won the very first game, didn't he?
Yeah,
with the Mythic and with the dashes. And I know we were talking about it. We were like, is he going to be able to continue that? Can he do it without the Mythic and the dashes?
Yeah.
Proved us wrong, didn't he? What a fantastic day it was for him. I mean, even just seemingly getting so much loot from an area where it didn't seem like there was that many chests, just so it showed that his strategy was on point today, Lemon.
Yeah, Recon was on point. Definitely proved any doubters, including myself, wrong. Is again, you looked at the way that first game went from, you would have thought, okay, how many times is he going to have that win condition? Didn't matter. Put in a shift every game after that one, and entertained along the way. Was really aggressive in a lot of those games, and that's what we like to see. Some interesting styles as well. Shotgun only one game, really, right? So these kind of things. I mean, he's a worthy winner for sure.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic across the course of the 6 games, and the players definitely put on a show. So shout out to the players who are playing today. Of course, a big shout out to everyone for watching. Thank you to you guys at home for tuning in today for the PlayStation Cup, and of course, watching the games go down. It wasn't a lack of action today, let's just say that. There was always some interesting things to watch, but we have some more action coming your way as well. The NA PlayStation Cup, I believe, is coming very soon as well, so make sure to look out on the socials for that. Hope you guys enjoyed today, and we'll see you all very, very soon for some more Fortnite action. Goodbye.
Gaming is defined by moments.
It is intense.
The joy of victory and the thrill of overcoming challenges. Welcome to our home of competitive gaming, where we can all experience exciting esports moments
The final 1v1 of the game here.
and celebrate the pros and the rising stars,
I do want to see a female in the NCS.
bringing you guides and deep dives
Horizon can go up, but she can't go up fast.
and tournaments where the community competes.
Wait! No way!
Whether you're in a heated match
Back, let's go.
or watching along at the edge of your seat,
A duo taking down a trio.
let's create moments from the games you love.
He'll take it.
Join us and subscribe to our channel to follow everything esports on PlayStation.
PlayStation. PlayStation.
Enlist in the galaxy's elite fighting force. Work together to protect your future. Join the Hellraiders, the galaxy's last line of offense.
PlayStation. PlayStation.